Good Saturday afternoon. Good day 3 of the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention to you folks out there. And I hope everyone is having an absolutely swell Saturday. We have got, this is the Artist Alley live stream, folks. This is, you go to a con, you go to a great RPG con, and they have folks out there. They'll sign autographs. They'll talk to you. They'll do all sorts of stuff. I have endeavored to, once again, for this year's Guac, the Guac 2, if you will, bring you an Artist Alley in the virtual sense. That's right. And of course, we have a guy who's a great supporter of this show. I assume he's a fan of this show, who really, he was there at the dawn of Dungeons and Dragons, really. And he's responsible for some of the most iconic pieces of not just Dungeons and Dragons art, but TSR art in general. He worked on Boot Hill. He worked on the first ever Dungeons and Dragons module to be separately composed outside of play examples in supplements or rules, although it did not see initial publication under original D&D, but nonetheless, I'm excited to have this guy back on the show. Of course, I consider him a good friend, and he has brought some merch with him, some con merch, some merch, if you will, to the show, and we're going to be giving you guys an opportunity to purchase some prints today while he talks to us about this. Who is this he? I keep saying he, like I've got an uncontrollable laughter problem. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Tracy Lesch. And you know what? Let's don the AKGs and let's bring Tracy in here and say hello. Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. I hope our audience can hear you just fine.
Awesome.
So how are you today, my friend? Welcome to the con. Welcome to the convention. I hope your room accommodations were as well taken care of as I could afford.
They were on that par level, so it's all good there.
Great, wonderful. So I know, like we picked up a fairly good number of folks here on the show as fans. I think since the last time you were here, some folks who might maybe perhaps not be 100% familiar with just exactly your work. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Bring us up to speed. Who is Tracy Lesch? And more importantly, why is Tracy Lesch?
I am the knight. No, I started working with TSR, I think, in 75.
Mm-hmm.
I was still in junior high school at the time. And that period is when I did the visual template for the Mind Flayer and the Roper to start with, and then everything else kind of came naturally after that. Based on things that Gary wanted. So, which was pretty cool. He was excited. I was excited. Young person getting like the first art job of their entire life. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I will always cherish in my memories. And I'm still here with you guys, alive and kicking, and still doing artwork. You're going to see some of that today. And some of the older stuff, too, is going to be available for you folks, depending on what you like, what you want. But, so I got involved. I should probably tell that story with Elise.
Yeah. Tell us that, because that's a fun story, and I always screw up the details. So let's hear it.
No, that's fine. So in junior high, I was in a history class, which was like my favorite class because I didn't really have to do anything. Because my dad, he was like a amateur historian, so growing up, he would always tell me these historical stories and stuff like that. So when it came to history class, it was like a breeze. Half the stuff they brought up, I'm like, well, I already know that. So it kind of left me bored. And but in that class, uh, Elise Gygax sat behind me in class, and because I was bored, I would do a lot of doodling, like a lot of kids do, in my notebook. And so I would like draw monsters and heroes and all sorts of stuff. And she could like peek over my shoulder and see what was going on. So one day after class, she's approaching me and saying, "Well, I would, if it's okay, I'd like to show your drawings to my dad." And I'm like, I didn't know why, but I was like, yeah, sure, sure. Take the notebook, show him, and just bring it back to me. So she showed it to him, and the next thing I know, we're talking on the phone, and he wants to potentially do some stuff with me. And I was like, yeah. So we met at the famous house in Lake Geneva. Um, Clarify something for me. Has it been like judged like a historical thing now? Do you
I
know?
I think amongst us, it's a historical site. I don't know for sure that it is actually on the register of National Historic Places. I do know that the young lady who bought the house, not initially knowing the provenance of it, I'm Madam, I apologize if I mutilate your name, Yolanda Frontenay. Uh, Met with Paul Stormberg, and he told her the history of the house, and she has warmly embraced the gaming community and shares her home whenever she can, whenever it is opportune, with a gaming community. So
Very
that's
gracious.
very nice of her. That's very nice of her.
So I visited with Gary there, and we went down into the fabled basement area, and
Mhm.
he had just gotten from the printer like the wood grain box sets, and he was starting to explain to me. Now, the funny part of the story was I was kind of getting to be like ADD, and I was looking around because in the basement he had all this equipment for cobbling shoes or for doing shoe repair. So he had the skill of being a cobbler. He had the thing, the metal things that you put the shoe over and all sorts of cool stuff. And I'm like looking at that stuff, so I'm like distracted. And then there was a table down there. I think he had some miniatures on it ready to go for some sort of campaign or battle or something. So I was kind of
Mhm.
like ogling that stuff. And then he gave me one of the box sets, and he says, I want you to look through this. I think it'll provide inspiration to you and give you an idea of sort of what I want to do. He wanted some like artwork for the D&D project. So yeah, so I took it home. Oh, he gave me one of the silver chainmail books too, with the metallic silver cover on it,
Mhm.
and that was pretty cool. So I read through those, and that we went from there, and just started doing some pieces. The Mind Flayer and the Roper and stuff. And the cool thing was, he wasn't like super anal about any of it. It was sort of like, well, let me give you a basic idea of what I've got in my head, and then you run with it, and we'll see what you come up with. Um, and for an artist, that's always a great relationship where they're like kind of letting you loose and just saying, well, you do what you do, and I'll see if I like it or not. So when I brought the Mind Flayer and the roper back to him, he was like just super happy. And he looked at me and he said, "You nailed it." He said, "You have determined the look of these two monsters." And really, he couldn't have given me more direction than maybe a couple of sentences. I mean, he said the Mind Flayer was going to have, they were just looking at including psionics into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the Mind Flayer was going to have like some sort of mental ability, you know. And he said it's like humanoid and super evil. And then he said it had to have tentacle, he said it had to have like a squid like appearance and have like tentacles coming around the mouth. So if you've seen the drawing, I mean, that's the rest is history. Then he said the roper. He explained that the roper can appear as, it can appear as a tree bark, or it can appear as like a column of waste material, if you would,
Yeah.
uh, uh, and that it would have tentacles to like grasp and stuff like that. Um, so I did both of those, and he was like super happy, and it was kind of a cool time.
That's great, man. I love hearing that story about how things just kind of came together. And what floors me is like, okay, so when I was a kid, and I came into D&D during I guess what we could call the Sears Kmart era of D&D, right? When they had, it was no longer just confined to hobby shops and mail order. You could walk into a store. I mean, I've told before about the Albertsons grocery stores here in Florida had like part of the store, depending on what aisle you were on, was more like a department store than a grocery store. The toy aisle in a grocery store had basic D&D sets in it. So this is the era I come from. So it was a little bit after when you came aboard at TSR, but I remember being a kid, and regardless of the name or the artist, I assumed that all of these people were grown-ups. These things are made by adults, gray-haired people in their 40s and 50s out there seriously considering, should we have armor classes below 0 or greater than 10? Let's take this to the design committee. And it didn't really turn into that until, unfortunately, fairly recently, as far as design by committee goes. But talking to you, talking to Errol Otis, talking to, basically everybody who was there at your time, you guys were all a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Gary and a few others, and you guys were just high schoolers and barely out of, barely
out of
college.
I think that's a great part of history. That's one of the interesting stories about D&D. And most people don't know this. I mean, of course, now your audience is going to know, so they can tell other people, hey, I know something about the early history of D&D. And what you said, the fact that we were like young men. I thought it was a very cool period of time. You'll never see it again. That's the cool part about history. It's like one of those special periods that will never come again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate vibe that you get if you talk to, if you talk to, people who've worked at Wizards of the Coast, like, Stephen, from, oh my gosh, I'm going blank here. Gripner, Stephen from Gripner worked for Wizards of the Coast back in the early mid 2000s. And I mean, everything, even back then during the quote unquote good years, just before things were starting to sour, had to go through this machine, through this mechanical process, and decisions about D&D are now made by billionaires. We want to do X, we want to show Y in the artwork, and it goes to a boardroom table of people who are like, okay, how is this going to impact our bottom line? Yes or no? You guys, Gary, you, Dave, Dave Trampier, all of you guys,
Bell.
Greg Bell,
Deborah Larson.
Thank you. I was stumbling over that. Deb Larson. Darlene, you guys drew stuff and said, hey, you think this is cool? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, let's use that. And it just went. It went like that. The decisions being made were the rule of cool. That's the younger gamers are like, rule of cool. It's got to be rule of cool. You guys lived in the rule of cool back in the day, and it shows in the stuff that you did. Now, tell the story, because I think this is a fascinating one. And I mentioned this in the warm-up. You actually did the art for the first ever standalone Dungeons and Dragons module, which unfortunately was not initially published, but walk us through that, because I think that is a great story.
Are you talking about Tomb of Horrors?
I'm talking about Tomb of Horrors, yes.
Okay. All right. Gary wanted to introduce his Tomb of Horrors adventure at the Origins convention. I think it was Origins or Origins 2 or something like that. It was early, but the buzz was he was going to present this. There was like a whole bunch of people that were gonna that were excited about seeing this for the first time. He was gonna like run some people through it and play it. But the convention, there was like not a lot of time for him to prepare for the convention, but he wanted to at least take some visual stuff with him to kind of enhance the presentation of the Tomb of Horrors. But there was like less than a month before he had to go and present Tomb of Horrors. So he approached me and he said, I mean, he acknowledged that it was going to be a big challenge, but he said, listen, if I give you some descriptions of things in the module, like rooms and traps and things and so forth, could you get me some illustrations in the short time we have before the con? And I was like, well, I don't know how many I can get. We talked about like 30. I don't think we ended up with that much, but it was a pretty big chunk of artwork. And I had to just like go home and like crank this stuff out as quickly as I could and, still make it look good, for what I thought at the time. And, it was sort of an exercise in, how efficiently can you bang this artwork out. So now you can see the actual drawings I did for that. If you get the Art and Arcana deluxe set, because they have like reprinted that module as if it would be one of the small ones during the early days of D&D. And it's got all the drawings in there that I did. Trying to think of what else. So it was never like it never actually saw the light of day as like a quote unquote actual module, but all that artwork was there, and he showed it at Origins and was able to show people, oh, here's when you were in this room, this is what it looked like. That's pretty much the whole story. So it gave him something to present. So it wasn't just a sheaf of papers in his hand,
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And I mean, you had like even after like the supplement books, like you kept producing stuff for those of you folks out there. If you don't have the CD-ROM copy of the Dragon Magazine Archive, go and get it off archive.org. Just download the issues, because Tracy, you were doing art for the Dragon too. You weren't just to a few books, right?
No, absolutely correct. There was one. Let's see. Now, I've never been able to find the artwork for it, but supposedly it was for a oh, what did they call it in the magazine? I think they called it like Creature's Corner or something like that. And they would introduce like brand new monsters for you to use in your campaign. And I remember going into what was known as the office downtown, that house that they essentially converted into office space. And I remember meeting with I think it was Brian Bloom, maybe, and he had given me like one of the brand new monsters to do, and that was actually a color piece. But I've never been able to find it amongst the Dragon magazine, so I don't know if it got used. But I mean, it looked really good. I can tell you that. Tell you that in all modesty, it looked really, really good. It was like full color, and they were like some. They were almost like ghoul-looking sort of creatures, and I forget what it was, but there were other sections though that if they needed illustrations for, like you've seen me post them up on Twitter. Like they had an article on the character of an alchemist, and did this whole thing on alchemy and alchemist, and so I like did a couple of illustrations for that, which I thought turned out really well. But yeah, I did work for the Dragon here and there, and then of course the module Boot Hill, the Great Western module.
Right. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar, you might think Boot Hill. Okay, Boot Hill, that's 1980. It's got art by Bill Willingham on it, but it was actually digest-sized, quasi war game version of what would later become an actual role-playing game.
1975,
and you did all the illustration, but it wasn't just you who did those illustrations.
No, I actually got to work with my dad on that because my father had a period in his life where he was like a commercial artist, and so long story short, you grow up with a commercial artist, and anytime you draw something, he's going to be looking over your shoulder and giving you tips and pointers and whatever. So when I was starting the Boot Hill artwork, I was basically told, we want to see a scene of this and this and this and this. And then as I was doing it, my dad would be like, well, he'd point out, well, the clothes need to be this, this, and this, and it needs to look like this. And the gun belt isn't like, your gun belt isn't like hanging low enough. Like if they tried to draw like that, they would get shot by the other guy, so on and so forth. So when it came to doing the little mini historical scenes, like Wes Harden versus Wild Bill Hickok doing the road agent's spin to get the drop on him, so he was like a big help with that. And then recreating the handkerchief duel between we think Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo. The two of them had like an ongoing adversarial relationship where their paths crossed here and there. And then the handkerchief duel was one where one of them, I think it was Johnny Ringo, he he said, well, he says, if you're gonna take me, you're only gonna need like 3 feet to do it, or I can take you by that measurement. So they were like, well, so he whipped out a handkerchief and he like flipped one end to him and he says, you hold on to this end and I'm gonna hold on to this end, and we're gonna draw on each other, and you cannot drop the handkerchief. You can't, if you let go of the end, that's it. So this happened outside of a pharmacy, and the police came and broke it up. But so like no one actually got shot, but they were ready to go at it. And so my dad is like, you ought to do that scene. And then so during the course of getting stuff ready for the module, my dad did like a pencil sketch of a saloon scene where you had like obviously a cheating card sharp, and the other guy is sitting in his chair and he's just shot him, and the smoke is still coming out of the end of his barrel, and the other guy is slumped over the card table. And I took that to Gary, and they put it in the book. So it's like, yeah, one of my dad's illustrations is like preserved now for posterity, at least in my scans. I mean, you can't get the book anymore really, unless you want to pay like, hell, I don't know, like $300, $400, $500 for it.
Lots and lots.
Yeah. The one that I had, I sold like years ago for like $300, I think, because I needed money. I was broke. So I was all right, we got to sell some stuff. Sell my original Boot Hill.
Absolutely understand it. And, it's when I tell people about your work for original D&D and everything, that Gary handed you a wood grain set, just said, here, kid, the kind of a replay of the famous Mean Joe Green Coca-Cola commercial. Hey, kid, tosses you an OD&D set. People have asked me like, wow, that must be one of his prized possessions. I bet he's so happy about that. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, but, unfortunately.
I think it was easier for Gary to like hand me those books and say, here, read through this, than it would have been for him to explain his whole vision for D&D.
Yeah.
And I think that was the impetus behind it, because he was like, take these home, read them from front to back. And I promised him I would. I was like, yes, I will read the whole thing. And he was like, this will probably inspire you to do the sort of things that I want to do. So, yeah, and I don't even, this is really sad, but I don't even remember exactly what happened to my wood grain box set. I think, I don't know, I may even have borrowed it to somebody, because at the time I was playing games with some of my peers, and some of the guys that worked, at the dungeon and stuff like that. So like Skip Williams and Ducky, Jeff Leeson, Dave Conant, the Christensen brothers, the Kuntzes. I've played D&D with the Kuntzes before. But probably during the course of doing that, probably somebody ended up with it, and that's that. That's it, I guess. lost to the mists of history.
Then Skip, you're on notice. You have Tracy's wood grain set. Give it back. We know you have it. He just told us you did. Give it back, Skip. We actually have a question now. Before we go any further here, because I folks will have questions, and we've got questions coming up here. Couple of good questions. Thank you, Elliot. But just to let you guys know, Tracy has got prints. You will be able to purchase some prints, and I'm going to be putting those up on the screen. And Tracy and I will let you know what those will cost. So and contact.
I have 4 different ways that people can pay.
Okay.
We can go over after all of that.
Sure, we can type those up and put those up on the screen here real quick, but you will be able, the artwork that we're talking about, that Tracy's talking about, you can get autographed prints of those. And don't forget, until 6 o'clock tomorrow, you got more than a full day. You can bid on the Funko Pop Mind Flayer autographed by Tracy. It includes a collector's case and a certificate of authenticity. Bids are in increments of $1, and the current opening bid is $50. That is the reserve price. So if you're at the con and on the Discord, look in the discussions area for the bidding and go in there and bid, because that's it, right, Tracy? That's the last of the supply, right?
Yeah, it's the last one I had. I had picked up like 5 of them for QuestCon last year, and they were all autographed. There were only 5 of them, and they were all numbered. They all had COAs. They all came in the hard plastic case. And let me tell you, if you've ever had a Funko Pop, it's like if you just buy the pop itself, the packaging is pretty flimsy, and you really need to have like a pop protector for it. But most of the pop protectors out there are just like kind of plastic sleeves, and they're very flimsy as well. I mean, they do offer some protection, but with these, what I did was I got they're hard plastic acrylic cases that will keep your pop from getting crushed or damaged, or dust on it, anything. And I have signed the outside of the pop package itself that will go inside that case. So the autograph is always going to be protected. It's visible. I signed them in like with like red paint. And if you like for instance, if you were to go search online right now for the Mind Flayer pop, just the Mind Flayer pop itself, with nothing else but the pop, you're either not going to find them. You'll go to a store that says they have them, and then when you go to checkout, it says out of stock. They're harder than hen's teeth to find. Most of them are going, just the pop itself is out there for like $60 to like over $100 in different places like eBay and so on and so forth. So I looked at the lowest price one, and I was like, well, it's going for like 60. I'll start the bidding at like 50. But yeah, this is the very last one I have. I am not gonna go out and buy like 10 more of them, autograph them, and then sell those. No, this is it. I just had the 5, and for me to even get those, I had to get them from overseas. So I think they were shipped over from the UK when I bought those. So rest assured, you're getting something that's rare. It's got my signature on it, and inside the COA actually has the picture I did of the original Mind Flayer. So
wow,
you can see,
wow,
yeah. So
I did not know.
Yeah, it's on the COA, and you can like show that to folks. The COA is like tucked inside the hard plastic case, and the first 4, man, they sold like really quickly. I sold 2 at the con, and then I had 2 people contact me after the con, and they were like, one person I think bought the last 2 of them, and then I have just this one left. And I figured, well, if I didn't sell it at that time, I was just going to keep it for myself. But I do have one of my own that's unsigned, so I'm just going to sell this signed one. So if somebody wants like autographed memorabilia, and you can like take the COA out and show people, well, this is his original drawing of the Mind Flayer. And if you look at the pop, it is very close to my original design. It's not like some of the artwork you might have seen today of the Mind Flayer, or sometimes what they call the Ithalid. Don't get me started on that. And they look very different than the original design. They've kind of like, people have like taken it like way too far, making them way too alien looking. And so you're going to get the original concept, and heck, even if it wasn't autographed, the pop would be, at least worth like between $60 and $150. So I thought it was like a good deal.
Right on. So, and that one of the things that I always loved, I mean, going back, obviously, I mean, I'm not going to put up any pretense about, about like being like Hugo Weaving as what's his name from the Lord of the Rings? I was there, Gandalf, 3,000 years ago, or anything like that. But looking back, I mean, you and I became friends back, I guess, 2016, 2015, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it's been a minute or two, but not forever. But I always thought that Errol and Dave Sutherland and the rare David Trampier, that they paid very good tribute to your Mind Flayer when they would render it. Thank you, Rich. Thank you very much. And we will ask Tracy that here when we get to our questions in just a minute. But I always thought that the other guys at TSR very, very much followed. You got the almond head and the calamari mustache and so on, and that it was that they at least followed your design spec, if you will.
And I like Dave's very much. Because it is like it's like so dead on to mine, and he added like some motion to the drawing, which I really liked. I mean, because the original one is kind of static, but if you're introducing something like that, a lot of times it is going to be static. Plus, the vision I had was when I did the visual, I kind of thought of it as being like almost a Ming the Merciless type of character. Mm-hmm. So I tried to play that up, and you can see the pose and the robe and the collar and everything, and it is very Ming the Merciless like. But I did like Dave's interpretation because of the motion he added to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you've seen the in the same entry in the Monster Manual, Tom Wom did. I hesitate to call it cartoony because that implies humor and mirth, but his attacking Mind Flayer in that same illustration, I always thought was horrifically sinister, with energy blast coming out. Is exceptionally well done. So you set the tone, you set the pace. So anybody out there, if you're new to this, like maybe you subscribe to my channel because of the WotC blow up or whatever, and your first view of the Mind Flayer was in a 4 ebook or a 5 ebook, all of that starts right here with this gentleman sitting camera left of me. So take this opportunity, get a piece of history. Bidding starts at $50. That's what the Funko itself alone would cost you if you found one and you got a great deal. This one is autographed. It comes with a COA, and it comes with an acrylic protection case. And it's the opening bid, $50. Bid increments are $1. If you guys want to get into a bid fight, I'm sure Tracy doesn't mind. I am not in charge of any of the bidding. I am not skimming off the top of that. That is all for Tracy. So that is all to him. So jump in and do that. And so I think we're going to answer some questions, and then we'll talk a little bit about post TSR. Does that sound good for you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so let's hop into some questions. First of all, I think Rich deserves his due because thank you very much for the super, Rich. What do you think of Baldur's Gate 3 Mind Flayer Central?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Not that familiar with it. Not that familiar with it. I am not as full disclosure, I am not as hardcore a gamer as I wanted to be. To be honest, at that period of time and after, I've just been like too busy with other things. But I have heard of Baldur's Gate. I've heard like good things about it. The Mind Flayer Central, I'm not sure. Is that like the dwelling place where they've got like tunnels and like full families of mind flayers and so on and so forth?
So it's my understanding, and this, if anybody out there has played it and you have more inside baseball than I've got, Mind Flayers are the chief antagonists of Baldur's Gate 3. And
Okay.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate itself is a city in the Forgotten Realms setting. Now, I played the first Baldur's Gate. I didn't find the second one all that good. I thought the first one was pretty darn good, and I liked it because it came out at the towards the tail end of second edition AD&D, which mechanics wise is not that different from first edition AD&D. So I found it a lot more palatable than I would have if it had come out a few years after. So I just think they're the bad guys in the third game. There was
that.
Yeah, there was a trailer that was released that actually shows like an interdimensional ship that appears over this city, possibly the city of Baldur's Gate, and the mind flayers, the Ithalid, are teleporting amongst the populace and grabbing them and then teleporting them away to do horrible mind flayery things to them, presumably.
I will have to check this out.
Yeah, I think you can pick it up on Steam. I'm not sure. I'm going to look back in the live chats. I'm sure people are like, no, you got it all wrong, Bill. George Leacana says the game centers around mind flayers. That's, you don't see many after the opening scene. Not surprising.
Yeah, and forgive me for George my lack of knowledge there.
Okay, George says link and I'll bid. Okay, George, if you're registered for the con, it's just the same page you would go to for the con. Let me. The same Discord link. I'm sorry, the same Discord link, which is on the convention page on Warhorn. You can go over there and register. And by the way, George, if you sign up for the convention, we still have prize drawings to do for the convention. So you get a chance to bid and you get a shot at some awesome prizes. We're having another prize drawing. Our friends over at Hellabard Games. Hello, Collecting Chaos. Greetings.
Hey, put me in for that drawing.
You're in. Your name is in the hat. So our friends over Jack Photon gave us a bunch of stuff. Which we did drawings for the other night, and
thank you to Jack. That's
Hellabard awesome. Games. Yeah, he did some really neat artwork. Hellabard has got stuff coming to us also. And we're going to do a separate drawing for that. I got to get the laundry list of items. So, George, go register. You'll get entered for a drawing, and you could have a chance to play some good games. There's games that have slots available tonight. There's games that are going to have slots tomorrow. You could play a good session of a game, and possibly win something, and definitely bid on the Mind Flayer Funko. So let's get back.
I was just going to say, it's so great to see. I've been like out there. It's great to see all the activity that's going on for this second guac. So like definitely better than last year. and I think it's just going to get better from here. But it's so cool to see people come in and like, oh, I'm going to run a Wild West game, and I'm going to run this, and it's awesome. I just, I love seeing it. You guys are great.
It is, and you guys are awesome. So, next question. Speaking of Jack Photon, he had to leave us. He had to leave us, but I'm going to leave this live stream up. The drawing live stream. That is when I draw names out of the hat, not drawing like artwork, but when I draw names out of the hat, those will probably go dark at the end of the con. But like the Tracy stream's going to stay up. So Jack, don't worry that you missed. I'm going to I'm going to ask your question now, and Tracy can ask this. Was it Gary's entanglements that sent Tracy down the professional artist path, or was Tracy always expecting to be an artist of some kind before TSR hit? Thanks for stopping by, Tracy. So were you of the mind to be a professional artist, or was it Gary who pulled you into it?
I always thought that my destiny was going to be art because even as like a little kid, I was drawing stuff like, Batman and Superman and stuff like that. And, my parents were like, oh yeah, he's going to be an artist. So yeah, before TSR, I was already doing drawing and stuff like that. And, just, over the years, it's just been trying to, get better at my craft and so on and so forth. Like with my writing too, I've done a lot of writing, and again, you have to spend time working on the craft. But I've gotten some great opportunities over the years. I've gotten to do work for companies like Marvel. For a long time, I was working with the Hamilton Collection and the Bradford Exchange. If you've ever seen their stuff, they do like a lot of statues and things you can, display various franchises and stuff. And one company I went to work for, they were doing all the franchise stuff for the Universal library of characters, which was like everything from Betty Boop to Woody Woodpecker, to any of the things that you would see at the Universal Park and so on and so forth. So it hasn't made me rich. Okay, let me just make that clear. Any of you out there that think, oh, well, Tracy's got to be just rolling in the bucks after all this. It's like, no. But I'm very grateful to have gotten the opportunities that I have. And a lot of that was like just to work with was very exciting. So I've done a lot of stuff here and there. I wish I was doing more gaming illustrations now. Don't forget Planet But I don't like, how do I say it? I don't like try to like force myself on folks. So it's like I don't want to like be banging on all these folks' doors like, hey, let me do some artwork for you. I figure anybody that approaches me, whether it's like for a commission or if it's to do some work for a module, kind of like we did for Frog God Games, I will do. The opportunities just haven't been brought up, and I don't want to like impose myself on anybody. So I figure if you know me, and I'm on social media, so I'm not that hard to find, not that hard to get a hold of. So I just figure if anybody really wants me to do a piece for them, they'll probably get in touch with me.
Yeah, you are easy to find. And, a lot of people will ask me when I talk about knowing you there, oh, how did you meet Tracy? And the answer is always the same. I cyber stalked you. So, Tracy and I used to live conveniently close together. I mean, you read about, so many of these guys that are up in the Midwest, or like Errol's out in California, Dave Diesel LaForce, who was on just a few weeks ago.
He's in Texas.
Diesel LaForce is out in Texas, and Tracy lived literally up the street. Because everybody knows. You can go online. Even the incredibly enigmatic and sadly no longer with us, Dave Trampier. We know their stories. The millions of books versus thousands of books, tens of millions in some cases. And when I got this volume here, Art and Arcana, which, by the way, the deluxe version is like $60, $70 maybe on Amazon. Get a copy. All right, get a copy. And I was like,
you won't regret it.
No, it is an amazing book. I remember thinking, thank God I can now hear the stories, because just in the early 2000s, I had started to acquire original D&D, and I had got my I got my set of Dragon Magazine PDFs on the CD-ROM, and seeing the art that you guys had done, seeing the art that had been foundational, that wasn't Errol Otis, it wasn't Dave Sutherland, it wasn't Dave Trampier, it wasn't Diesel. I was like, who were these guys? Who, it's like, I hate to make this comparison because I know my fans don't give a damn about college football, but, so many people half my age are like, they came up, if they're fans of college football and Crimson Tide, they see the work that Nick Saban's done. They don't know anything about Bear Bryant. They don't know anything about Joe Namath as one of the great cornerstones of college football there. And so getting the chance to reach out to you and to hear your story and to read your story in there was so wonderful. And I absolutely am so thankful that you took the time to not file a restraining order against me.
No. I always say stalkers are just friends we haven't met yet.
Stalkers are friends we just haven't gotten court orders to stop yet. Robin Irwin asks, because I'm starting to babble, Robin Irwin asks, this is very cool. Thank you, Robin. An argument can be made that you retain copyright to those images because as a minor, you didn't have the capacity to contract those rights to TSR. The question is, did you sign any paperwork? A pointed and salient question. Thank you, Robin.
I don't remember signing any paperwork. To be honest, I may have. It could just be my 62-year-old memory going bad, but I don't remember signing like a work for hire or anything like that. I don't think they even thought about stuff like that back then.
So I know how much or how little, just because you've told me how much or how little you didn't get paid. Did you get checks, or was it just like Gary digging in his dungarees pockets, like, here's 2 10s and a 5, don't spend it all in one place?
No, it was like, like personal checks.
That had to be kind of exciting as a lad of 16 or 17, getting a check equivalent. I guess that would be like today making about $80, I think.
Yeah. The thing was, it's like I was okay with it for a long time, and then later on I found out that other people were getting more. It's like the young guy was getting screwed and the older guys were getting more, and so that was like a bone of contention between us for a short period of time. But I will never say that, oh, I hate Gary because of that period of time. It's like, no, I loved Gary. To me, he was a very charismatic mentor type figure. I thought he was very intelligent, which I admired right off the bat. And even though we had that kind of rough period in history, it's like I would never I would never go back and like, bad mouth him or anybody over that. It was just, it happened, and you go on, you get over it, and you can sit and stew about it and be bitter. But what does that accomplish, really? Like nothing. So
And I
I
mean,
know
at
there
that,
was.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No, I was just going to say I had heard rumors too that like some of the other artists would like badmouth me and my work to other people around there, and what are you going to do? I guess our catty and jealous like any other people. I would rather think that we all have something to contribute, and okay, you don't like that guy's art, fine. There's something over here you might like. It's no big deal. It's what the life of an artist is all about. Not everybody's going to like pick you and say, "Yo, you're the best."
yeah.
Just the way it goes. You do the best that you can, and try to produce something that you at least you feel is really wonderful and something that you're happy with, and if you would be like ashamed to present it, then you wouldn't do it. They'll like, don't do it. Go back to the drawing board, redo what you're doing, and then and present it then. Luckily, though, I was very blessed that I didn't really have to do a lot of that when I was doing like the D&D stuff. It was like pretty much basic idea, make something, present it. Okay, we're putting it in the book.
Nice. Well, the only thing that I can say is, I mean, it very well may have been you just hit at the time when, the Bloom brothers were first kind of starting to squeeze TSR. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, how old is this kid? 17? Yeah, Gary, you're not paying him more than this.
Yeah.
These other guys that are in the office, that's one thing. This guy, you're not paying him more than that. Not that I'm making excuses. Not that I'm making.
No, of course not.
Did
I answer that question?
I think so.
If I get off track, you gotta like rein me back in, and because I do want to answer your folks' questions.
This is our artist that look, you guys are all milling around the show floor, and Tracy and I are sitting in the booth right now. You're just going to have to listen, and if you walk up and hear us talking, then that's how that's going to be. This is not a formal interview, a production of Delver Enterprises or anything like that. This is very laid back. So let's I tell you what, let's take a look at some of your art. Let's give people a chance to buy. Let's give people a chance to purchase here, and then we'll come back around. We'll come back around to talking about the art. You've got a couple hours to kill, right?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Full disclosure, at some point I may have to like run out and take a bathroom break, because after multiple surgeries, my body is like doesn't operate the same as your folks is out there.
Completely understandable. So let me see if will that come up. There we go. Okay, so this is the first piece, and this is a small print. You can get a signed copy of this. Is how much, Tracy?
The small ones, the 8.5 by 11s, are a small print is only $10.
Okay, so there you go. A signed copy of the Paladin's Charge here is $10, and we're going to put up on the screen the methods through which you can you can pay. And Tracy, if you go over into private chat, because any links that like guests or audience members put up don't show up. Thank you, YouTube. No, I mean that seriously. Otherwise, get horrible link spam. So if you put that in the private chat, the contact places, I can put that up there for people. But yeah, if you want a signed copy of this color illustration, the Paladin's Charge, and
which is off the cover of my book, by the way.
Right. Tracy does have a book. George has thrown in a bid. Thank you so much, George, for throwing in a bid. So there you go, folks. If you're registered for the con, one COA signed copy of the Mind Flayer Funko Pop by Tracy Lesch remains available for bidding, and the bidding is now, well, George has thrown in a bid. So go look at the bidding and see what it's up to. And if you don't want it to slip, if you don't want to lose out on this, get in there and start bidding. So the Paladin's Charge from the cover of your book, which is available on Amazon, by the way. You guys can pick up a copy of that on Amazon.
If you want a signed one, we'll do that. We can do that here too.
Yes.
If somebody wants a signed copy of my fantasy novel, we'll do that at $25. You don't have to give me anything for shipping, but I will sign that book for you. I can either just autograph it, or if you want it more personalized, we can do that too.
Excellent. That is very nice. So next drawing here. Oh, yeah, looky there. Speak of the devil. This is a small print. This is $10 signed. Yep. And you can get this is the page out of Supplement 2 Blackmore. The mindful, that is what, if you were just playing D&D, if you were on the edge of your seat buying everything from TSR D&D related back in 1974-75, this would have been your first encounter ever with the dreaded Mind Flayer and the equally dreadful Roper. So this print, again, 8x10, right, Trace?
Yeah, 8.5 by 11.
I'm sorry, 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11, $10.
$10 for all 8.5 by 11s.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yes, I can zoom in. I forgot. So you guys take a look at that horrifying Mind Flayer there. I love the attention to detail, the suckers there, because, you know, when you've been reduced to tears and this thing has made you think about all the horrible life choices and has slowly destroyed your psyche, that little faint pull is the last thing you'll feel for that crunch. Yeah. And then, of course, we have the Roper, who has no mind powers. He just wants to eat you.
Yeah.
So lovely pieces both. An autographed copy of that print is $10. Get your contact info up so people can reach out, Tracy. Let's see. Another.
What do you need from me?
Any links to where people can pay you for these prints? Just put those. Okay. Put them in private chat, and then I can put them up on the screen. Greetings, Jorge. Good to see you. So there you can get a signed print. Is this a small one, or is this a larger one? The Boot Hill
it's another 8.5 by 11.
Another 8.5 by 11. Brian Bloom and Gary Gygax authored this quasi role-playing game / war game, Boot Hill. Gary tells me a very funny story about this, but I don't want to spoil it for you guys because I've got a little surprise for you at the end of next week. But yeah, there's Boot Hill, and you can get a signed print of that. Again, $10 dues. Alrighty, so I'm just typing here as we talk. Oh, okay. So you're still entering stuff. So Boot Hill cover. The Great Devil Face. If you play Tomb of Horrors, of course, you're familiar with the Dave Trampier rendition, the Errol Otis rendition. Grab yourself a signed copy of the Tracy Lesch edition, and don't put your hand in there, boys and girls. Tracy's putting payment info in, and I'm going to put that in a message and put that up on screen for you guys to purchase any of these.
And I do ask, like, if you could just any of these, whether they're big or small, if you could just include $2 for shipping, I'll be happy with that. That should be enough shipping.
There you go. So we have a Lesh here. You look at the wonderful detail on that. You know you're doomed. You see this guy step up. You know you're dead. There's no running. So that's an original, and that is signed. Is this another 8.5 by 11, Tracy?
Yeah. If we could, we'll do all the 8.5 by 11s first, get them out of the way, and then I can show you some of the larger ones, because the larger ones are not on 8.5 by 11 at all. We'll go up to the next size.
Whoa. Held down, back up there. Okay, there's our Lesh, there's our devil face, and the executioner. So this is for those of you who caught this. Yes, you are not seeing things. This is a little Umbrella Corporation logo here, and we have a Resident Evil bad guy. And that is another 8.5 by 11 print, signed $10 plus 2 shipping and handling. Do we have all the info now, Tracy? Do we have all the payment info?
There's 4 different ways to pay. You can use PayPal, you can pay through Zelle, you can use Cash App, or if you just want us to run your credit card, I've given instructions on that, and do let us know what item you ordered, and whether or not you would like an emailed receipt if you're going to pay by credit card.
Okay, and I'm going to put this up. I'm going to pin this up on the screen for you guys out there. And hopefully I can get this all in a single, let's see. Okay. Let's see if this will all go in a single comment there. Okay, just let Tracy know if you would like an emailed receipt, because that part I ran out of characters. So you can pick these up. Let's see. Let's go to the next one here. Now, I'm lucky enough. I actually have a canvas print of this that you guys have seen in the background before. I'm going to be rearranging my office so people can see this. I think I like my Star Wars box set, but I think, just in my opinion, I think the painting is a little bit nicer. So I'm going to be adjusting that. How much is this one, Tracy?
All right. Well, it's available in 2 sizes, so it depends how large you want it. You can get it as an 11 by 17, and all my 11 by 17s are $20.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want a larger one, I have a 20 by 15, and those are $35.
Okay,
so one you can get in either a large size and then a bigger size.
And this was a color piece that you'd offered TSR for the newly coming out basic D&D?
Yeah, we were knocking some ideas around, and basically it came about because I had not really done any color pieces for them as yet, and they were kind of wondering, think of it as sort of audition pieces. They were like, well, can you do color? And I was like, yeah, I can do color. Is it okay if I do watercolor painting? And they were like, yeah, so this is like this is one of them.
All right.
Other people have ripped it off over the years, but this one's mine.
But that's the original, and there you go.
Oh,
All
did
right.
you show that I was typing at the time? Oh, there we go. So the Hardin versus Hickok is the last of the small prints, and that's from Boot Hill. So of the small prints, we've got the Boot Hill cover, the Demon Mouth from Tomb of Horrors, the Lich from Eldritch Wizardry, this one, Hardin versus Hickok from Boot Hill, the Mind Flayer and the Roper from Blackmore, the Paladin's Charge from the cover of my book, and then the Executioner print. Those are all the 8.5 by 11 prints.
Okay, and so this one guy right here, which got thank you Windows for putting them out of the order that I asked you to put them in. This one is a larger one that is available for 25 or 35, depending on the size you want.
Yeah, 20. In fact, let me type it in here. I'll just put it in the chat. That'll make it easier. There we go.
Okay, so copy and paste that. And you should be able to put things like that straight into the chat, Tracy, but I will put those up there also. Unfortunately, I can't pin more than one chat at a time, and I think the payment information is a little, I think it takes priority, but let me put those prices up there.
And if anybody's got questions before we can get done, before we get done on any of these prints or whatever, we can revisit that. So.
Oh, for sure.
If somebody's like, "Hey, what did you say the giant serpent print was?" We can go back.
All right. So there is the Hickok and Hardin print. Can I zoom? No, I can't zoom that out any further. So Hickok and Hardin, that is a small print, so that is $10 sign. Yep. And this is from a slightly more recent event, as I understand.
Yes, sir.
This particular one. Now, what size print is this?
You can get it in two sizes. Once again, you can either get a smaller one at the 11 by 17 size, or you can get the full size one, which is 20 inches by 15. And these are going to be this is from a series that I'm doing. I plan to do more of these with the actual adventures of my thief character that I play in one of Bill's games, and the thief is named Cain, and these are actual things that happened like in the game. So this one is Cain and the Lake of the Dead. Can't talk, my lips aren't working. Cain and the Lake of the Dead, and we'll see another Cain print coming up here shortly. But yes. This again is large sizes come in 11 by 17 for $20, or 20 by 15 size for $35.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am a sucker for underground environments, and I love it's the little details. I love the mushrooms over here. I just adore the work you did on the mushrooms, and I'm going to hide this real quick, but put it back up in a second, and you guys can see there's a wrecked boat. I really swung at him. The undead, not necessarily that big of a threat to a mid-level party in AD&D, but it was the atmosphere. I really tried to bring the creepy atmosphere, and
you did. I was like.
So this setting here, the party has come, and it's an underground lake, but the far lip of the lake, just on the other side of this mushroom forest, right to Cain's right, and it's further along in this direction, is bordered on a cliff, an underground cliff, and there's a great, huge, gargantuan, like could swallow a city-sized cavern on the other side of here. And then as soon as the party gets to this point, the undead, of course, start coming up out of the water, and it's just, it was a good moment for me as a DM. I'll say that. And that one, that is two sizes. That is 11 by 17 for 20, or that is 20 by 15 for 35 signed. And there is your payment info for that, folks. Let's go ahead and move on. Another great Kane moment. I don't know why I bother keeping on throwing chimeras at the party, particularly when Kane and his +4 dagger keeps backstabbing them to death. But there you have, just as George says, old school gaming is in the dungeons and underground. This one took place outside, not far from the cave where that previous drawing happened. And that is Kane backstabbing a chimera. And look, don't at me, fellow DMs, that he couldn't backstab. It has a back. Okay, it has a back. And out in the wilds, I would take this just for the chimera. Like, even if you hadn't drawn Kane in it, I would love this for the chimera.
And your print will not have a watermark on it. Just so you know, if any of these have watermarks on them, the print you purchased today won't have a watermark. It'll just be straight artwork.
Good to know. So definitely. If you're gonna get this one, I recommend the larger one, because the details on this thing pop. They're just amazing, and I love the chimera as a monster, even though they are clearly not very effective. But do avail yourself. It is a great print. 11 by 17 for 20, 35 for 20 by 15, and payment. Of course, you can hit Tracy up, paying through there. The next piece, there's the book. There's the aforementioned book, Armor of God. That is 25 for a signed copy.
Yeah, and it's a great tale of a paladin and the paladin's adventures on his quest to destroy evil in our world, intruding from the demonic places. And it's got a lot. There's a lot of action in it. Some romance. This book has won me a couple of awards, so very happy about that. But yeah, I'm working on a sequel to it right now. So you'll have Armor of God, the Paladin, and the next one I'm working on is called Armor of God, the Heretic. And then the third one in the series will be Armor of God, let's see, what did I title the third one? Oh, it's escaping my mind right now. Paladin, the Berserker. It's slipping my mind right now, but the third one will be cool because Vlad Dracula makes an appearance.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's got the essence of D&D in it, and he gets to throw down against old VTI, Vlad the Impaler. What could be better? And I argue nothing. So
this one, the first one, though, I mean, for those that like D&D sort of stuff, I mean, there's plenty of that in there. There's plenty of evil beings. A bunch of them show up. There's like a vampire type sequence. There's some lycanthropes involved. There's a stone gargoyle that comes to life that he has to fight. So, yeah, I kind of wrote the kind of book that I would like to read, basically.
Nice. And I think that's the joy of being a DM is you get to write the kind of book that you would like to read.
Oh yeah. And this was a finalist in the Global Ebook Awards. So it's like I had to compete from like fantasy writers from all over the world. And you know, I didn't think I was really going to do anything because it was like my first novel. But as it was, I almost got into that third place category. The cover also won an award for best cover, and then excerpts that I presented at a writers conference for the book got me the conference's Writer of the Year award. So obviously, people, I guess they liked it.
As well they should. As well they should. So let's that again, that's 25. And that will come autographed or personalized autograph. I don't think you can beat that with a stick, boys and girls. Next up, the zombie. So this goes back. This is the necromancer back there doing his thing, raising up. So is this a large print?
It's in one of the large print sizes, so you can get it either as the 11 by 17, or you can get it as the 20 by 15 if you want something larger.
Okay, so there you go, guys. That is
all of these that we're showing now are going to be that way. You can either get 11 by 17 or 20 by 15.
Good. Okay, so yeah, so $20 or $35 signed by Tracy. Grab one, Brodo. I think I think a piece like that would look awesome. Just let your players know when they step into your game room. Just be like, this, just so you know, just so you understand. Next up is the Barbarian. I love it. Yeah. Another early color piece, and this is watercolor, yeah?
Yeah. My Berserker.
I love it. The brown tones. I feel like these days with like is it just me? And I'm not. Good art is good art, right? I mean, sure. I've said before. I've taught. When I've had Errol on here, Dave LaForge, competent art is competent art. I wish those folks at Wizards of the Coast could spread their wings a little bit more and maybe do something a little bit more creative. Because it seems to me, and back me up on this, is it like everything's violet? Everything is violet.
Yeah, or
Dragons
blue.
Are violet or blue. People are violet or blue. Hair is violet or blue. I've actually come back around now to where when I see color fantasy art, I'm so appreciative of browns and earth tones.
Sure. And which, if you were there at that time, if it was like a real live thing, that's probably what you would experience in your day-to-day life anyway.
Yeah, that was
not a lot of color going on.
No, I saw years ago when that show came on the History Channel that started as quasi-historical drama and then just essentially became a fantasy TV show, The Vikings.
Yeah.
But I remember watching, and it may have even been on the History Channel, but they were talking about the costumes, all the Vikings, because, you got to be Norwegian death metal, and they're all wearing black. And this woman was like, they wouldn't have been wearing black. Dyeing things black is a very hard process.
Yeah.
And as
requiring multiple steps.
As you wore this, your skin would get colored with the dyes.
Yep.
And black, like you would constantly look dirty and unwashed, and the Vikings were not dirty and unwashed people. So this whole idea of, I am a Viking, I wear black constantly because Ra is evil looking. Yeah, nobody dyed anything black. It was white, pale greens and pale blues, and natural browns. That was it.
Yep.
Looks at the color of his avatar's armor, feels called out. we're not picking, Damien. I promise. We're not picking. So again, this is a large print. This is 11 by 17, or let me see if I can do this. 15 by 20.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? 15 by 20. Sir. Great. 11 by 17 is $20, and 15 by 20 is $35, and you can get this absolutely sumptuous looking print. There is the order information. You guys should definitely jump on that print. Let's what do we got
while
next?
You were talking, I just wanted to comment too, when you're talking about the art overall today, I'm very opinionated about it, but I'm not going to sit here and there's like nobody in particular that I'm trying to slam, but to me the art today is so homogenous, and the style has become so overused that the stuff to me is starting to look generic. Like you really can't tell from one product to the other, like who really made this. And the other thing I notice is that so much of the art is static, like just poses. There's not a lot of action to it, which is why, I try to do things like the Chimera drawing, because I want to show you motion. I want to show you action. I want you to be there in the danger part of it. But so much today that I've seen is like just, it's like almost like somebody had like 3D models that they staged. There's like not a lot of motion, and everything's so dark.
And I think that, I think that goes back to what we were talking about with, corporate push down. And I even had this, like, when I was doing a module that's in production, I went to, and I'm not, first of all, I'm not naming names. And second of all, I'm not upset about it, but it's got some drow in it. Drow are evil, nasty things. Sorry, later edition folks. Yes, they are.
Deal with it.
And I said, do I have any input on the art? And my project manager, as it were, was like, absolutely, you have input on the art. And I said, I want the drow to be depicted as depraved and I made an artistic and aesthetic argument for why you might see a bare breast amongst the drow. I said, it's not lascivious. It's not being presented as, hey, flip to page 43 and, take 20 minutes to yourself or anything like that. And Lord. He came back and he said, I can't do it. I absolutely understand. And this was also like in 2018 when this project first got off the ground. And they said, in this environment, we'll get eaten alive. We can't do it. I completely understand it. And I think that is a lot of companies' standpoint. They have brilliant artists. Now, objectively, that what I'm about to say is true. And I think everyone in the audience knows what I'm about to say is true. Objectively, the people doing art do a good job these days.
I think so.
However, it's very homogenized.
Yeah.
It is very homogenized. There's no pop, there's no verve, because they're told not to make it that way. I mean, look at the cover of the Dungeon Master's Guide by Sutherland, right? Some terrible things are about to happen if they don't rescue that girl, right?
Yep.
Nobody would dare do that today. Nobody would show a windswept barbarian in brown furs. No one would show the executioner. No one would show the backstab into the chimera and the blood spraying out. People just they're not going to take that chance. And it's a shame, because I think some of the kids today could do some fantastic art. But let's move on. Let's move on to the next print and see what else.
I got a bitch about the anime look too. It's like, can we stop copying the Japanese? It's like, not everything has to look like it came out of anime or manga. so many of the kids that came up, they started copying that, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, but in a way now, so many people have done it that also has become homogenized and, to me, boring. It's like, okay, we
Yeah.
got it. We got it 20 years ago. You don't have to. But I don't know. Maybe the expectation for a lot of artists coming up is that they have to do stuff like that in order to be relevant. But I don't think so. I don't think it's ever good. I mean, you can be inspired by another artist, but it's like, if you're just ripping off their style, it's not really you. It's
Yeah.
you copying something else, you know? That's why when growing up, it's like, did I love the art of Jack Kirby? Yes, I did. Steranko, Neil Adams, but I would never sit down and try to like just copy their style and then pass it off as, hey, this is my original art. It's like, no, you're ripping off Kirby now,
Right.
like drawings with the Kirby hands in them all the time. Like,
Keep your
anyway,
curve strong.
off of my soapbox, it's just like I get so tired of seeing the anime style. I know some people like it, but it's like, I don't know. I just see
And
so much of it; it becomes like a generic thing to your brain after a while.
and I'm a grab the mic too and say something with you as someone who loves manga, who loves anime. Um, if you absolutely positively have to copy a style of manga, please look at something beyond Shonen Jump magazine. Look at the work of Otomo Katsushiro. Look at the work of even Shiro Masamune. Their stuff is endlessly detailed, and it's not all Mickey Mouse sized eyes. Okay,
I'd rather be a Soriyama myself.
wouldn't we all? Wouldn't
I
we
mean,
all?
come on, that's just.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some talent right there.
Boys and girls, don't Google Hajime Soriyama's work while mom's watching. Anyway,
But beautiful
so
stuff, though.
I do. I have the gynoids. I have hyper illustrations, sexy robot, a self-titled one, and I have. This is not for sale, by the way. Don't bid. Don't at me. You will not get this from my hands. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. That's a Frazetta book.
Yeah, could Frazetta even sell
book?
today?
Yeah,
That's a question.
when is your
Frazetta,
Tracy?
what's that?
When is your art book coming out? When do we get an art book from Tracy Lesch?
Oh God, you know what? I hadn't even thought about it, but I've heard it brought up on the show a number of times, so maybe I have to look at that.
I don't know if this will show up. I'm gonna be cautious so I don't get dinged. This is one of my favorite Soriyama things. It is a pamphlet. This is a brochure from an art gallery showing in New York. Like you can't buy that. This came in just a lot of books from Todd over at Gods and Monsters. He's like, "Hey, you like Soriyama stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Here you go."
You should sell it to your good friend Tracy Lesch.
I should say, yeah. And then it gets mailed back to me by Shelby, ripped in half.
My first exposure to that sort of thing was the sexy robot, and it was because in Lake Geneva there used to be like this huge arcade called Gameland, and it was like two buildings together, just filled with video game machines, and some of them were like ancient, like going back to I don't know, but
mechanical arcade.
Anyway, what's that?
Mechanical arcade machines, not even video games, but like where there's a plastic motorcycle and you have to hit the jump button to jump obstacles, and as a conveyor belt rolls cardboard terrain towards you.
Yeah, and another one I used to play that was so old was it was like a helicopter on this big wire, you know, and you had to like drive the helicopter to save the people in the burning building, but it was all mechanical. And then
Yeah.
one of the other ones that was just amazing, I don't know how old it was, but it was a marionette of a clown. And if you put your coin in, the marionette would dance around to some old piece of music for like, 5 cents or
That's
whatever.
horrifying. Well, I
And
have to show you something. If I can reach them, go on. I'm listening.
So anyway, I say all that to say that I used to hang out there a lot, and I loved pinball. And a game came out called Pinbot, and I believe the Pinbot artwork was like Soriyama, or at least it was Soriyama inspired.
I
And
know.
I'll
I know
never
what you're talking about.
forget
Yeah.
the image of the sexy female robot, and the pinball machine would make sounds like the robot would sigh or make little moaning sounds and stuff, and it was kind of like, well, this is cool and it's kind of sexy at the same time.
Yeah.
But Pinbot was great.
I have actually right here in my hand. This probably won't show up, but I actually have tokens from that arcade. That arcade was open the first year, or possibly the second year. One of the early years that we went to Lake Geneva Gaming Convention, the arcade was still open.
Wow.
They literally had signs up, like stickers on games. This arcade cabinet is for sale. This arcade cabinet's for sale. And it was clear that there were machines that were broken that they were not going to attempt to fix. And it eventually did close down. But I have actually been to that arcade, and I have a few tokens left because we had to move on, and I kept those. So I have gold pieces from Lake Geneva.
My dad used to love to go there too, believe it or not, because they had like this big, there was a big, huge machine. You probably remember this. It was made by Sega. Sega didn't always make video games. They started out making the mechanical games, but
Yes.
it was a submarine game where the whole thing in the cabinet was a 3D plastic background of the ocean with ships off in the distance, and then you would fire. You had a periscope with like handles and a trigger, and you would fire torpedoes at the boats, and it was just like a little light that moved under the plastic water, so you could see it like go to the ships, and then off in the distance the background would light up with an explosion if you hit a ship. I mean, my father used to sit there and play that game for hours. Well, he was a Navy guy, so I'm not like super surprised.
Well, there you go. Jorge says he played that. I know the one you're talking about. I don't remember seeing it, but I don't remember not seeing it.
I think it was called Seawolf or something like that.
Yeah, I was just hitting all the classic video games I could in the time we had, and I wound up with some unspent tokens that are here amongst this stack of tokens.
I would hold on to those.
I will. I think they're just generic brass tokens. I don't think they say like, oh, this came from so and so. But as curios, I mean, they mean something to me. I've said this before. I'll say it again. My great grandkids are going to take one look at this stuff and be like, oh, just put this stuff in garbage bags and put it on the curb. I don't even know what half of this stuff is. Like naked robot women. What even is this about? Our great grandpa was a weirdo, and it's all just going in the trash. I know that.
I think rather they're going to probably say, how come all these miniatures don't have any color to them?
Yeah. Why aren't these little statues painted? What? Anyway, so next art piece. The Ranger, a surprisingly modern looking piece, yet from 77, from the TSR era. And I'm just real quick because I don't want to lose the I don't want to lose the payment info. I'm going to scroll back up, and then I'm going to temporarily hide it. Again, no watermark on that, and this is a large one. This is a 11 by 17 or 15 by 20, and they are 20 and $35 respectively. I love this piece to death. The Ranger getting his Rangerly stuff on, and 77. So this would have been when the Ranger class was not even official yet, because there was no player's handbook, guys. If you want a piece of art that shows what a Ranger looked like at the dawn of the hobby, there it is. There is the piece that you should be getting for 20 or 35 bucks, and it comes signed. It comes signed, and here's how you can pay. If you're going to credit card that, please order him, or please let him know if you want a receipt, an emailed receipt with that. And I think
Shelby's my wife. She's going to take care of all the payment stuff, and we'll make sure you folks get all fixed up the way that you're supposed to be, and get what you need, and we'll get it all taken care of. She's great. She's like my right hand, so she'll make sure all the payment stuff is done.
So there you go, guys. That is Tracy's artwork. Go ahead.
So of the big ones, so we've got Cain and the Chimera, Cain and the Lake of the Dead, the Berserker, the Giant Serpent, the Ranger, the Necromancer, and that's it. And those are like the two tier sizes. And then the smaller ones are just like the Boot Hill cover, the Demon Mouth, the Lich, Harden versus Hickok, the Mind Flayer, Roper, the Paladin's Charge, and the Executioner. Those are the little ones. And those are only, like I said, those are only $10 a piece for one of the small ones.
Yeah, just you can pick one up for a tenner. You should absolutely do it. I recommend. I'm lucky enough. I have a few signed pieces of Tracy's art. But speaking of pieces of your art, now, with the exception of your things that were not accepted by TSR, you didn't get any of that back, correct? That went to Gary, and that went to the art department, and that was the last you saw of it, right?
Yeah. It went into a file, and then at one point, like down the road, I had asked for the file and basically was refused. So, but then there was a point where stuff was getting cleaned out of the space, I guess, and a lot of that stuff went in the garbage or ended up in the hands of collectors. So my stuff, I'm not sure. I believe I've heard that there are collectors out there that have the originals of some stuff, but I have no idea. I did the stuff and then never saw it again, except for some of these unpublished ones, which these actually come from my portfolio, which is an interesting story into itself, because I was digging around and trying to get at some stuff, and found an old portfolio that was sealed. And when I opened it up, it's like, here's all these old drawings in there and paintings and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot that I had this D&D art in there. So then I had them scanned and had prints made and so on.
First of all, just a salient question here to this. Ms. Bella Games asks, do you have a website where we can see the prints he's selling? So maybe, if you wanted to browse a little bit easier than watching me go back and forth, do you have something like that, Tracy?
I was hoping to have it by today's broadcast. I don't have a site up, but I fully intend to, soon. But if there's any other way we can facilitate this for you, glad to do it. Like, if you want, if there's something you want to see, I could probably send you a JPEG or something, or I can, as soon as I get the site up, I can Well, I can give you the site, Bill, and you can like let people know about it
Sure, and
publicly.
I will absolutely share that around. And Miss Bella Games, if you want it, Tracy, if it's okay with you, I can send you this email that Tracy has sent me with at least these pieces in there, because you've got some superhero stuff too, right, Trace?
Yeah, I'm not selling any of the superhero stuff because
I
it's like all Marvel, you know, most of it's like Marvel licensed stuff.
Okay.
But the good news is I do have from the portfolio I was talking about, I have some other old pieces that I will present in the future. I just need to I just need to take them and have some like really good high res scans done of them, so I can actually offer them as prints as well. I've got like some more watercolor paintings and some other drawings and stuff, and I have some superhero stuff that I did for a book on. It was a book on the history of comics, and years ago I was hired to do like 10 or 15 pieces for that. But it's all you know, it's all like licensed DC and Marvel stuff. But I need to scan that stuff into for posterity and maybe show it to you guys on a future show.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Please do that. So,
If there's anything you guys want to see now as far as the prints go, maybe Bill can put it back up if you
yeah,
toss the question
absolutely.
in there. If you say, "Hey, Bill, I want a closer look at that, you know, serpent or whatever," while we're
Sure.
talking.
So you can talk to Jorge. I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to try and set a good tempo and go back through this. Miss Bella, if you see something, um, just holler out. But in the meantime, a question from Jorge: what have you done for Marvel? Which characters?
Oh God. Well, here's the deal. Basically, in 1994, I think it was, I went to work for Planet Hollywood International. And at the time, Planet Hollywood was going great guns. And they had opened like 80 locations all over the world. And I got hired on the basis of coming up with the logo for their next concept, which is they were going to work with Marvel on a chain of Marvel themed restaurants, just like the Planet Hollywood restaurants, which would have like superhero and comic book memorabilia. Uh, and so, in working with them, I was the merchandise artist. So I was like designing stuff to be sold at the various locations. And but I had to go through the process of in order to work with their characters, you have to like pass a test with their art department, so to speak. So so I did that, and then I became like what you would call like an official approved uh, artist that could work on the Marvel stuff. But in designing T-shirts and other items and stuff like that, and gosh, you name it, I did like a lot of their characters in different poses and stuff like that. So yeah, I've gotten to draw the Punisher and Spider-Man and Wolverine and the Hulk and Thor and just their whole, you know, their whole basic pantheon of heroes, which was a lot of fun. And then it was coming up with like designs for like T-shirts, and um, I worked on the menu for the Marvel Mania restaurants. The even the plates that people ate off of, they all had my design on them. Uh, I still have like one of them that I keep in a cabinet. Um, but I have some T-shirts as well. So one day I might dig out some of those shirts and see if people have any interest in them. It's got like the Marvel Mania logo on it, and it says I think it's either the New York location or the Hollywood location. But they did open like two of them and they were open for a while, and then Planet Hollywood went through a bankruptcy, which kind of put the kibosh on all that. But the cool thing was with that job and working with the Marvel characters and the Marvel Mania concept, what got me the job initially was they could not get they could not get an approved logo, and Planet Hollywood spent like a lot of money hiring agencies and freelancers to come up with the logo, and none of the stuff that was done they liked at all. They didn't like it, and I had started doing some T-shirt art for them, and they said, "Hey, take a crack at this." And then that got me like a permanent job with them because it got approved by Robert Earl and the folks at Marvel. And then that's when Planet Hollywood offered me a job. They said, "Well, hey, would you come to work for us full time?" And so I did. And I was there like 4 years, I think, doing stuff for all over the world, all these different locations. And then one day they brought a crate up to my office, and I didn't know what it was, and they didn't know either. They said, "I don't know. This came from Stan Lee's people." And I'm like, "Really?" And I opened it up, and it was like a huge painting of Spider-Man, and Stan Lee signed it on the back, and so did the artist that did the original Spider-Man work for that, and a letter from Stan Lee saying, "Thank you so much for what you did on the Marvel Mania concept. It's really wonderful. Just want to thank you for all your hard work." And I have that painting to this day. It's really beautiful.
I've seen that painting, and it is gorgeous. It is really fantastic. Thank you, Stan, wherever you are. A quick question: that the Bella Union Station Hickok versus Harden is a 8.5 by 11 print, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure. I thought so. Miss Bella was wondering about that one. So, and we kind of get
a big one.
That is a big one. You know what? I'm gonna grab that one off the wall real quick. I have a canvas print. The canvas print was just mine. I'm sorry. As far as I know, Shelby's not cranking those things out for anyone but me. So let me show this one to you guys. I've taken it off the wall before, but I'm gonna put it down where people can see it when I do a little bit of office rearranging after the con, because I'm taking a week off. I'm taking time off. People are like, "Oh, but you had the con." Trust me, I worked at the convention. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. I loved every minute of it. But yeah, this is going to be a week of sitting on my butt and not doing anything.
I'm sure.
Doing even less.
I felt so guilty even like asking you to cover all this stuff because I'm like, he's got so much that he's doing for the con itself. I'm probably putting a burden on his shoulders right now.
Okay, just real quick, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to do this, and
yeah, look, it ended up looking really great on the canvas.
I love this. And before anyone asks, no, it's not for sale. So,
and I wanted to mention too. I went. I've got the Digging Life line out at the Zazzle store. I have a Zazzle store.
Right. Yeah, the Zazzle Digging Life stuff. Yeah. Oh, I can't believe we forgot. Okay, so put the Zazzle link in the chat, and I'll put that on a crawl. I'll put that up underneath. So you guys, you got to see these. I actually have one. Let me turn this off again. I have this. You know what? I actually have the technology. Let me get over here and do this. Where is it? So you guys, hang on one second, Tracy. You're not being knocked off the broadcast, but I just want to show this real quick.
No problem.
So you can get this in mugs, pint glasses. Tracy, are there pint glasses for this?
No. What we've got right now are, and I've expanded the line actually for that design for the Diggin', because I want Diggin' Life to be its own line, kind of like Salt Life. So we've got the beer stein. There's a wonderful coffee cup. And the thing that's cool about the coffee cup is the interior is colored, so you can pick whatever color you want for the coffee cup, so it becomes more like a two-tone thing, which I really love them. And I've got one, and they're really good coffee cups because Bill will tell you I am a coffee fiend.
Man is.
And the other things that I've added to the site are you can get that design on T-shirts. It's on, we've got a blanket, a fleece blanket. If you want something to keep you toasty warm, it's got the Diggin' Life design on it. Let's see, there's a onesie for the little ones. You can get it on a onesie. There's a women's t-shirts. It's on, oh, and I added a really cool, you can get it as a piece of wood art. It's like a wooden box that's like distressed, and it's got the design printed on it. It looks really cool.
Ideal to keep dice in.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. You know? And you can hang it on the wall. Yeah, it was really sharp. I saw that and I was like, you know, I want to put the design on that. And let's see, what else did I put it on? Got it on the blanket. You know what? I'll just.
So yeah, there's a ton of stuff, guys. A ton of stuff that you can get the Diggin' Life design on. I love my Stein, and I'm not being like it's dishwasher safe. No, it really is dishwasher safe. This is not like a decal that's just it is baked on, and I have enjoyed. I had champagne out of one. I toasted Heidi and Eric one night.
Awesome. Did she like it?
Yes, she liked the design. Most of the champagne I drank that night was actually out of. I had it out of a pint glass. I had it out of Diggin' Life mug, and I had it out of an actual champagne glass from my wife and I's wedding. But yes, I do believe she thought the design was pretty neat.
Awesome.
So Miss Bella Games, there you go. There's Diggin' Life. And I got to tell the story. So Tracy's just like, my Monday night game has been like, we've had as many on 1 week. I think that we peaked out like 1 week. We had 15 people in the game. And the 3 people that took us from 12 to 15 dipped out. So we kind of shrunk. We're like 9 people, so it's a small group now, just 9 people. But when you do that, when you have a group that big, and it's just a function to keep me from going insane and to keep the players capable of hearing, not everybody gets to talk at once when you're on Discord, right? So this is one of the like, if this was an in my house game and somebody was like painting or drawing or whatever, I'd be like, come on, man, pay attention. But it's a different matter when you're online, and I completely get that. So Tracy's like, yeah, hey, check out this drawing I did. I just kind of drew this while I was waiting for my turn to come around. And it's the Diggin' Life design. Can I mention the origin of the Diggin' Life dwarf?
Oh yeah, go for it.
So one of the players in the game, Grindel, the dwarf, he just like sketched that. Like, you know, I doodle and I'll draw a stick figure. You know, Tracy doodles and he draws iconic fantasy art. So that's his doodle that he drew, is the Diggin' Life logo. And you know, let's see here. Let me see if I can do this. I'm actually gonna put the Zazzle link up for you guys real quick. You pull that up and put that out here for you guys so you can see the Diggin' Life designs. And there it is. So you can get, let's see. And yeah, you know what? I am going to cheerlead about this because that is a freaking great looking drawing on that Stein. And I think you got to purchase there at least one, Tracy.
Wow. Awesome.
From Miss Bella.
If you're a dwarf, you're either living the Diggin' Life, or you're just digging life.
Or you're just exactly so. So yeah, jump on that. Just jump right on that. I'm going to leave the Zazzle store up. If anyone wants me to go back to, and by the way, just Miss Bella Games, you can drink coffee out of a Stein. No one will stop you. I'm just saying.
And it'll hold a good amount of coffee if you love coffee.
Exactly. You go to the drive-thru and you're like double espresso. I have the mug right here, just right in there. So you worked with TSR up through the early days of the Dragon, and under whatever provenance you parted ways with them. Now I wish I could find this, and I feel like I want to look this up real quick because I think this is fun because you stayed in the TSR. You stayed in the TSR area. You stayed in the Lake Geneva area. It wasn't like contract's over, I'm out of here. No.
I lived there. I went to school there.
So let me see.
The funny thing is, I was like doing probably more acting and singing than I was doing artwork.
Right, which brings me to this photo, because when I saw this photo, oh, come on, I just lost it. Dang it. Oh, I've lost it now.
Well, take some time. We can jibber jabber.
You actually played in Arsenic and Old Lace. Twice you played in Arsenic and Old Lace. And Collecting Chaos, take care. Thank you for sticking around. Miss Bella Game says, I love dwarfs. I play Lotro, and my famous zone is Moria. Very cool. So you guys definitely, here's your dwarf merch. So it was one of the nights that Alan Hammock was guesting on the show.
Yeah.
And he talked about doing Arsenic and Old Lace. And I can't remember if he shared a photo or if I found a photo in digging around, but I found a picture of you, one other TSR alum, and Alan Hammock. But Alan at that time didn't know that you had worked for TSR a couple of years before on art.
Isn't that funny?
Alan Hammock and one other fellow were all in the same production of Arsenic and Old Lace. So that's something you did you did summer stock there in Lake Geneva, which I think is just wonderful.
And I think Alan played he played one of the main characters in the one that I was doing. I was playing Mortimer Brewster, which, if you've seen the movie, is the Cary Grant character. I did that twice because the first time I did it, there was a director who had seen me do it, and then when he got the chance to do his own production in the summer stock period, he called me and asked if I would reprise the role of Mortimer, and I was only too happy to do it. But yeah, I think Alan was, I think he was either helping the Boris Karloff villain or played the Boris Karloff villain. I don't remember. I mean, I had an article I showed you once but it has no pictures. It just mentions that we were both working in the same production. Unfortunately, I don't have anything I could show you, but I thought that was cool. And then later on, I'm at Gary Con, and Alan's wanting me to play in his Boot Hill game, so kind of wild.
That's nice. That is.
Memories.
So, so you did some theater. You took a record, I believe. You took a certain cinematic record while you were up there. Perhaps watching them.
Yeah. I had gone. It was Star Wars. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I became a freakazoid for Star Wars because before it even came out, I was digesting every article I could get my hands on because like Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine was writing about it. Oh, this movie's coming out. It's going to be so great and and all these other sci-fi mags. And I just got like so totally pumped. And then I went to see Star Wars, Episode 4, and I sat through it like 3 times in a row. And then I knew the people that owned the theater, and they were like, well, we can keep going on this if you want to keep going. Maybe you can set some sort of a Guinness record or whatever. So I did. And they, so I like camped out there and watched it. I think it was 26 times in a row. So it was like a marathon, of which I was no stranger to because I had done like a dance marathon, and that was like 36 hours of like being awake that whole time. So to me, it wasn't a big deal, and I loved the movie, so that was no chore. The hardest part was just having people bring me some food, so I didn't starve to death while I was doing this. And then once in a while you got to get up and go to the bathroom. But other than that, yeah, I sat through that movie like 26 or 27 times, and the local paper was like, "Oh, we got to write a story about this."
That is far out, dude. That is, I mean, I love Star Wars. Unfortunately, the camera can't really bring it all in. But I've got ships and action figures going back to summer or Christmas of 78, 77 over my head. I've got an X-Wing fighter pilot helmet. I've got one of the Christmas advent calendars I did on the show a couple of years ago. My wife got me that. You guys have seen the Darth Vader.
I remember that and all the cool stuff you got in there.
Yeah.
I remember watching that. See what's he going to get today?
I have a lot of Star Wars stuff. I don't know that I could do 26 views because 26, the movie is 120 minutes long. So that's that's 2 days nonstop. And you just subsisted on popcorn and Coca-Cola, or were people bringing you actual food or what?
They brought me like some sandwiches and stuff, like fast food.
And I'm guessing there had to be intermissions between showings so you could relieve yourself and so on, right?
Yeah. And make sure I was still awake and all that. Go splash some water on my face to make sure I wasn't like falling asleep.
Right on.
Because the funny thing was, I thought it was going to be like I really thought, well, if I do this, maybe it'll be like a Guinness Book sort of a thing. And nothing really ever came of it, but it was fun, and it's something I can look back on and tell people, hey, I've got this story about Star Wars, and you want to meet a Star Wars fan. That was probably me. The episode 4 was just so great, and the thing was, there was so much of it that I recognized because Lucas was inspired by other material, like the serials. He borrowed a lot from the serials and World War II dogfights, and even like cowboy movies and it was
these comics, everything.
Yeah, it was sort of a mishmash of all the best things that George Lucas loved, and you can like recognize that. Like a lot of people today, they talk about the text crawl at the beginning of every movie that like goes off into the distance, and people thought that is so cool, but that was originally done back in like 1940. If you watch like the Green Hornet serial, the 15 episodes of
Yes.
that, every one of them starts off with that crawl that goes off into the distance. Same thing with Flash Gordon. You watch
The
Flash
first
Gordon,
place,
you're going to see the same thing.
the first place the vanishing crawl appeared in was in an absolutely Z-grade serial production called The Phantom Creeps, starring Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, with the robot.
The robot and the spider drones that he sent after people, and that was and it got spoofed on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they absolutely pointed that out. But yeah, the Phantom Creeps is where the Star Wars opening crawl comes from. Flash Gordon, it's the whole we have to hit a target that's only 2 meters wide by flying level and straight and dropping the bomb. That's straight from the Dam Busters. So there's really no end to the great myths of cinema that George Lucas drew from, and I guess every nuance about the movie that there is to know at this point. 26 viewings.
Han and Greedo, that's from a Western.
Yeah. That is the. I'm trying to think. Was it?
You would know better than I would. I just know the basic.
Okay, I think it's the one where Dean Martin. There was like a group of outlaws that had always met in this. They had always met in this saloon, and as one of them would die or they'd hear about him dying, they would lean his chair in. They'd like take his chair and lean it in. And
is that Rio Lobo or Rio Bravo?
No, Rio Lobo and Rio Bravo were Howard Hawks and. Was it Howard Hawks and John Ford?
Was it 5-card stud?
Maybe. I'd have to look it up. I would have to go digging. We'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, no. There's a famous scene of again. I think it's Dean Martin. He plays a pastor. He's reformed, you see, but of course he's not. He's just as crooked, and he keeps a gun. He's got like a little belly gun that he keeps in a cutout in a Bible. But I think that's the movie that I'm thinking of. But yeah, so you pulled all the Star Wars in. And what else?
I liked Dean Martin better as a cowboy than I did a singer.
It's funny. Dean Martin's thing, everybody was like, "Oh, Dean Martin, he's drunk all the time." He really wasn't.
No.
Dean Martin, his shtick was that, like, "Oh, I've always got a highball glass." That was usually iced tea.
He was a teetotaler.
He was a teetotaler, and he would probably have like a glass of wine or a beer or something like that, but he was not. He was not. Oh, Tacticus, thank you. 5-card stud, but Robert Mitchum plays the preacher. Dean Martin is in it. Thank you, Tacticus Jones.
Yeah, thank you. That is it. Great.
You get the no prize for the evening. And yeah, I believe it's from 5-card stud where Lucas lifted hand shot first. But
good stuff.
No, you did some other media. You were on TV in the now I always get this wrong, so I apologize. This is my Swiss cheese brain. Was it in the Chicago area or was it in Minneapolis where you did a horror television show?
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Okay. See, I missed it. I bracketed you. Right. I bracketed where you were
in the vicinity. You were right there. So
somewhere up there. It's in the Midwest.
The blast radius.
Yeah, exactly. If I dropped a nuke on Chicago to get your show, I would have gotten you. But because it is, and Tracy will back me up on this. Like Chicago to Milwaukee is basically a gargantuan urban metroplex. You are not out of the city when you go from one to the other. It's like going from the distance is longer and the cities are larger, but it's like going from Altamont Springs to downtown Orlando.
Yeah.
There's never a point of, well, we're between cities now. No. But so
And
you did.
Chicago considers all of that their suburbs.
Yeah, right.
A suburb of Chicago.
So you did the piece with Go. Who were you working as a sidekick of?
Okay. So I used to watch the Wisconsin version of Creature Features, which was called Nightmare Theater. And Nightmare Theater had a host called Dr. Cadaverino. And Dr. Cadaverino was played by a man named Jack Dublon. Now, if you were a fan of Milwaukee TV, you would also recognize Jack Dublon's work because he created Albert the Alley Cat, which was really big in Milwaukee TV. Albert the Alley Cat used to do the weather segment along with the meteorologist on the news every night. The meteorologist would come to Albert and say, "So Albert, what's going on?" And Albert would give you he'd be like, "The humidity at Timmerman Field right now is, XX whatever." And then Albert also had a morning TV show, which was the usual morning fare with cartoons and kids and Albert the Alley Cat was a puppet that Jack created, and Jack also did a number of other puppets that he made for the it was called Albert's Alley, and then I think later on they just called it Cartoon Alley. But yeah, so Jack was a talented puppeteer, and then he also had this other persona as Dr. Cadaverino, and he would play lousy movies, like most horror hosts do. And he had a sidekick that was named Igor, and he was like a gargantuanly tall, headless person that would roam around the set and silent. Of course, he never said anything. And I used to watch this. It would come on really late on Saturday night, like when TV6 didn't have anything else going on. Then Nightmare Theater would start. A lot of times it was on at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and so he would show a movie and do the segments in between commercials, and I would send in. He would have a mailbag, so for mailbag I started sending him artwork and letters, and he would show the artwork on camera and stuff like that. And after a while, he contacted me and asked, he was like, "Would you like to be on the show?" So I took advantage of that. I created a persona for myself. I was the Baron von Finkenstein, and I would come on in costume and appear on the show with him, and we would do all the segments for the movie, and we would film them at TV6 Studios. We would do them on a Wednesday evening, around 7 o'clock. So we drive into Milwaukee and just pound out the segments. If we thought something wasn't good, we would redo it, and so on and so forth. And then they would show it 2 weeks later with the actual film. So we would just film those in between segments and mailbag and all that stuff. So I did a number of appearances on there, co-hosting with him. And let's see what else. But Jack was he was just a wonderful person. He was nothing like his on-screen persona, because his on-screen persona was very abusive, and he'd be like, "What the hell are you people doing up at this time watching this crappy movie? You should be in bed getting ready for your activities tomorrow. I can't believe you're watching this movie." And it was cool. It was very cool. He was he had vampire fangs. He had the false teeth, which he had made up from a dentist. So he had the same sort of fake fangs that Barnabas Collins used to use on Dark Shadows, where it's made to like clip in behind your actual teeth, so it looks like it's part of your teeth, and like
Right.
it in some instances it would look frightening. Um, but he was like the total opposite of his character. He was like gentle, funny guy, really just friendly, and so yeah, so I got to do a number of shows with him co-hosting, and that was a great time in my life as well.
That's awesome. And I did link, by the way, if you guys look in the chat, there's a couple of playlists. I honestly, I've dug around occasionally, Tracy, to see if I could like maybe find, a clip on YouTube or something that's got you in it. The best we can do so far is there are some Dr. Cadaverino clips on YouTube, but they're older ones from the 60s, which I think was probably a good stretch before you were on. But if you guys want to at least get the vibe for what Tracy's talking about, you can check.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You were
I
going
was
to
just
say.
going to say, there's the links. You can read them or not. It's up to you. So go ahead, Trace.
One of the cool things on the show was I was able to premiere a lot of TSR products, because I would just bring them onto the show and say, "Hey, this is the latest thing that we're doing." And I remember one show, I brought the dungeon game on, the first the board game, and I remember
You did the art.
he had me take it out of the box and lay it out and everything, like we were gonna like play some actual dungeon, which was really cool.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful, man. That's so great. It's little pieces of history like that, that they kind of get swept under the rug of the mindset that somehow D&D was like, just hastily scrawled on scraps of paper prior to, 1989. And I don't cotton with that at all. Like I don't feel like that, like, come on, it existed. It was there. It was an awesome thing. And guys like you, you made it great. So, but anyway, check out the Dr. Cadaverino clips and you'll kind of get a vibe for that. I feel sort of, it's weird because Dr. Cadaverino and who else was up there in the Midwest? Svengoolie.
Svengoolie. You had the first Svengoolie, who I actually met. He was played by one of their anchors at WFLD TV Channel 32, which was actually a UHF station.
Oh, nice.
And, so Jerry G. Bishop, he did the anchoring, and then he would do Svengoolie on Friday nights. And the show wasn't even called Svengoolie. It was called Screaming Yellow Theater, which was kind of named after a snack. There was a snack called Screaming Yellow Zonkers. If you look that up on the interwebs, it's.
I have a vague recollection of Screaming Yellow Zonkers. They were probably diminishing when I was a child. Like they were on their way out when I was a kid. I remember Screaming Yellow Zonkers.
They went away eventually, but it was sort of like a glazed popcorn. It was not overly sweet. It was like sort of buttery and sweet, but not like sickly sweet like the stuff today. And so Svengoolie, basically, I would watch Svengoolie. I had a friend in school. His name was Albert Rhino. Albert, if you're out there, you should contact me so we can like correspond. But Albert and I we'd do sleepovers on Friday night, and we would watch Svengoolie, and we would eat Screaming Yellow Zonkers, and our other food of choice was what's called a Fluffernutter sandwich, if you've ever had one of those.
Peanut butter and marshmallow fluff, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, there sir. You go.
And on toasted bread, we would eat those, and we would have our zonkers. We'd watch a bad movie. We'd laugh at Svengoolie. And then years later, like as we're edging up towards the 80s, Rich Coase, who was doing children's stuff for WFLD, asked Jerry G if he could like appear as the son of Svengoolie, and that's how his show started. And then eventually, son of Svengoolie just became Svengoolie because Jerry G, before he died, told Rich, he's like, well, you've been portraying, the son of Svengoolie for long enough. I'm just going to say that you have come of age, and now you're not the son of Svengoolie anymore. You are officially Svengoolie, and that's, he's still going strong today. And as a horror film host, he wins the Rondo Award for horror hosting like every year. I mean, if you haven't seen Svengoolie, I don't know, you must be living under a rock or something.
I at least know a Svengoolie, but down here in the South, when I was a kid living, like when you were becoming famous as a TSR artist and then going and literally having piles of Playboy bunnies just crawl all over you at the Playboy
man. Famous? What are you talking about?
I was just a little kid living in Gadsden, Alabama, and we had like 5 TV stations. We had a local UHF. We got like our affiliates out of Birmingham, and then we got WTBS out of Atlanta. Little station. It had just been around since like 1970. It's just a little TV station, WTBS, right? No.
With the Playboy Club thing.
Oh. Shelby thinks you're trolling her with the Playboy Club thing.
Am I? No, I wouldn't do that. Not me. No.
Yes,
but
I used to work at the Playboy Club. For all of you out there wondering just what we're talking about, I worked for the Playboy Club as a night manager for their discotheque, the Bunny Hutch. And so I had a team of bunnies that worked the room with me, and we all became great friends. And they were some of the most high quality people I ever met, and I have a lot of fond memories of knowing those gals. They were great gals, and I hope wherever they are, they've got like a lot of success in their life.
Right on. But yeah, out of Atlanta, WTBS, they had a Saturday night thing, and it was hosted by Bill Tush. And if you know anything about Turner Enterprises, like Bill Tush was like the 3rd employee that Ted Turner hired back in the day.
Wow.
And the last time I saw Bill Tush was in the late 90s, early 2000s. He would pop up on CNN doing human interest pieces. And I remember asking my old man, I was over there, I don't know, it's just my dad and I hanging out in the early 2000s. I was like, my God, is that Bill Tush? Why is he still working? And he said, my dad had met Bill Tush in Atlanta when Tush was like a weatherman or something, and said, son, he's the 3rd person that Ted Turner hired. Bill Tush has enough money to do whatever he wants.
Wow.
And I mean, it's absolutely, it was absolutely true. But he did the horror TV show host on WTBS, like Saturday Night Frights.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I
was 7. So, the Wasp Women, Attack of the Bee Women.
Yeah.
The Killer Shrews, stuff like that to a 7-year-old was horrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
Legitimately scary. But you guys up in the Midwest, you had the original ones, and I think that's probably why Mystery Science Theater 3000 had to come out of the Minneapolis area.
Oh, for sure.
MST
they were doing it.
Yeah, Joel, Trace, Frank, Bill,
Joe.
Joe, all of those were Gen X and grew up in the Midwest. So they watched you and Dr. Cadaverino and Svengoolie growing up, and I think without that,
no neck.
I think without that, we probably don't have Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I would argue that you, Tracy, are probably one of the reasons one of the reasons why we got such an awesome thing in MST3K with TV like that. I mean,
That would be
just
nice to think about.
it is. I think you should give yourself a round of applause, definitely, for there you go. Pat yourself on the back for that. On the nights when you weren't hanging around with a bunch of Playboy models and listening to disco music.
They were sweet girls. They really were.
I bet they were. Berwyn. Hey, happy Saturday, Christopher Sims.
Oh, Berwyn, yeah, Berwyn. We met the original Sven Gule. I remember Al and I. We went to. I was living in McHenry, Illinois, and which was not too far from Crystal Lake, Illinois. And Sven Gule came to the Just Jeans store in Crystal Lake to make an appearance. So Al and I had to head over there and get his autograph and meet him, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, like yourself, I was very much into I love anything with a horror host. I think that's something that I guess you could say it was from another era, really, unless you're going to count like Elvira and people like that. But yeah, anything like that, I would glom onto. And today, even there's a guy on. They broadcast it on YouTube. He's got a show out of Santa Rosa, California, and it's called Creature Features. And his name is Vincent Van Dahl, and he took over from another famous horror film show host, Bob Wilkins, who would do Creature Features. And he was just a guy he had glasses on and no costume or anything. He would sit there with a cigar and present the movie to you. But Bob Wilkins was like a big deal. And so now they still carry that on. If you want to see the stuff, it's on YouTube, the Creature Features. I love going out there once in a while and just watching it and watching the movie. And their crew is really funny. Another horror film show host setup. It's really good.
Yeah, that's some good times. And you need the thing about it is you need the host segments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's MST3K, whether it's something like Sven Gule and Tacticus mentions, it's on MeTV every Saturday night.
Yeah, I'll be watching it later.
There you go. Whatever it is, you have to have the host segments, because otherwise you're just watching a really terrible movie. And host
segments make it better.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? When we first moved to Florida, we couldn't swing cable. So again, we had 3 stations or 4 stations. And I remember one Sunday afternoon, what was it? The Beast of Yucca Flats was playing.
Yeah.
The Beast of Yucca Flats was playing on the local UHF station, like on a summer Sunday afternoon, and it was a strange time. There was like 18 months of my life as a child that were a strange time, because the truck that we had loaded with all of our furniture, which included my books, my toys, everything that I needed to power my imagination, broke down just outside of Gadsden, Alabama.
Oh.
My father found a storage warehouse. We put all of our belongings in there that we couldn't fit into a single car and a U-Haul trailer, and continued to Florida. So it was just essentials.
Wow.
And so it was basically, if we couldn't afford it, if it wasn't like a paperback from an impulse rack at the 5 and dime or something, a hot, steamy afternoon in a strange state, all of us crammed into a tiny apartment, like a one-room apartment, first moved. And here's UHF TV, and The Beast of Yucca Flats is playing. And it's only 71 minutes long. That movie felt like it was on for hours.
Hey, refresh my memory. Is that the one with Tor Johnson?
Yes, Tor Johnson. And that thing felt like it was on for like Dr. Zhivago lengths of time, like Lawrence of Arabia lengths of time to sit there and watch. And like there was like next to no spoken dialogue. It was I'm trying to remember the actor's name now. It was Carradine, like John Carradine.
John Carradine?
Yeah, narrating it. Not David Carradine, the elder Carradine narrating over it. And
who played Dracula.
Yeah, it was just I distinctly remember that. Now I can tolerate watching a movie like that with Mystery Science Theater 3000, Elvira, Svengoolie, and I'm going to have to dig up and see if there's some Dr. Cadaverino that I can catch him on. But my God, these people who are like, oh yeah, let's watch Killer Shrews, let's watch Earth versus the Spider. I'm like, Mystery Science Theater, Elvira, or Svengoolie, because I'm not watching the movie by itself. I'm not watching. You know, I mean, some of them are diamonds in the rough. The Earth Dies Screaming is a pretty good zombie movie until the space robots show up.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just saw Killer Shrews on Creature Features with Vincent not that long ago, and I had to laugh because the romantic lead in the movie was James Best, who you know is Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane on Dukes, who would always be like, "Come on, Flash, we're in hot pursuit." And he was the romantic lead in Killer Shrews.
Yeah. There's a lot of like, there are some Z-grade movies. It was when I had stopped watching MST3K by and large, because I don't think the later segments without Trace Beaulieu or Frank Conniff were nearly as good as they might have been. But
I would agree.
There's an episode of MST3K where the movie they're watching, it is Clint Eastwood's first ever movie appearance.
Oh yeah.
Like he steps on camera and he's got like 2 guinea pigs in a cage, and he's like, you know, what do you want me to do with these doctors? Like, yeah, put the samples over there. And he just
like a lab coat on.
Yeah, he's like a lab coat. And I mean, they had so much fun doing it, even though I didn't like I said, that MST3K cast I didn't care for, but that was riotously funny.
By the way, I just wanted to mention, you make me think of something. If you guys out there want to, it's like hook up with me on Twitter at Tracy Lesch, because I do like Sci-Fi Friday, and I like to toss out, you know, little gems from the past that you might remember, just for people to talk about on a Friday. And I also post a lot of artwork there too from time to time.
Yeah, you guys can ping that. Fuchsia asks, does anybody remember a creature feature movie in which there was some kind of alien that landed? There were sort of blobs. It got to be about a meter and would divide by themselves. That sounds like about a dozen of them. I'm sorry, bro.
Well, if it had Peter Cushing in it, and if it was a Hammer film, that would be Island of Terror, which had these these sort of blobby things that were roaming around. They had like one eye stalk, but they could divide and everything. And they were taking over this island, and they would just like grab people like a black pudding and like consume them. That may be the one you're talking about. I'm not sure, but it does star Peter Cushing, who is a wonderful actor.
Oh,
one of my favorites.
Cushing was awesome. And to kind of bring this around a little bit, Peter Cushing, big time gamer. Big time gamer. Yes. You can find video clips of Peter Cushing. It was for Pathé Films, like British Pathé Films. And he's He is basically, his man cave in his house is covered with Napoleonics.
Wow.
He's beating them up. He's got armies on the march over the rug and on pillows he's got set out. It's absolutely fantastic. Go look up Peter Cushing War Game or Peter Cushing Gamer. I would like to think that if Peter Cushing had lived longer, that Peter Cushing would have been he might have embraced early Dungeons and Dragons. Certainly, I think he would have had an interest in chainmail. He didn't pass away till 79, but I think there's a point at which, maybe you kind of set things like that aside and concentrate on other stuff. But yes, Cushing was absolutely one of us. And if you have Dungeons and Dragons invented in 1964 instead of 1974, I will stake my wizard hat that Peter Cushing would have been a D&D player.
Wow. I can't think of a bad movie with Peter Cushing in it. I really can't, because he's just such a wonderful actor. And for me, and this is like from when I was growing up to this day, there will never be another Van Helsing for me than Peter Cushing.
Oh yeah. No. I agree with you. I said, let me see, because now I think Peter Cushing had a cameo in Top Secret, the Zucker Brothers comedy with Val Kilmer, and that didn't come out till 81 or 82. So let me see.
Of course, he was Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars.
Yes, he was. No, 94. Oh my gosh, shut my mouth. 94. So maybe Peter did. Maybe he actually did step in and play. But let's see. Someone had asked. Ricky Maru said, "Where's the link to Tracy Lesch's store?" It's right there on the screen. Zazzle.com store Tracy Lesch Designs. Let me.
No prints there, but some merch.
No prints, but merch, and we have had some merch up. If Tracy wants, we can pull up the merch again and go
if you want to go through it quickly, that'd be fine with me.
Sure, yeah. No history on these. Just literally, I'm going to give you guys a second or two to view it. The small prints are $10 autograph plus $2 shipping and handling. It's $2 in shipping and handling standard across all the prints, right, Tracy?
Yeah, I figure just give me $2 for the shipping and whatever. I if it's over that, I'll take care of the rest.
Okay, so let me pull these up real quick here, and we're gonna go all the way back to the beginning, and I'll just say whether it's a small print or Tracy, you can say whether it's a small print or a large print, and we start off with the Paladin. That's an 8.5 by 11, so that's a small print, so that's $10 plus $2 shipping and handling. The Mind Flayer. You guys, you got to jump on that. You got to jump on that Mind Flayer. That is, again, autograph $10 plus $2 shipping and handling. The Boot Hill cover, I have one of those. It is a gorgeous looking print, 8.5 by 11, lovely looking item. The Great Devil Face. Who doesn't love the Sphere of Annihilation face? That is a small print.
The original.
The original. A Lich. That is from Tracy there. That is a 75. 1975. It's only $10. That's from 1975. The Executioner from Resident Evil. How many of you guys have lost your lives to this dude? Trying to beat that game. So that is a small print, full color, signed.
And I like to trot that out because you got people are like, yeah, you did all this old D&D stuff. What have you done in more present times? So I like to have something that's brand new.
Yes,
but yeah,
and
that's a small print as well.
I'm scrolling up here. I want to get the real quick. Find this. Here we go. All right, so there's your payment methods. You can do PayPal, Shelby Lesh at ilj.com, Zelle for Shelby's Tracy's wife, so she'll take care of that. And we'll kind of keep skipping through here real quick. You guys,
that's a big one.
That is a very nice one. The Bella Union Saloon. We hope Miss Bella will buy a print of that when payday comes. The zombies, the Lake Zombies piece from the Monday Night Campaign, always a crowd pleaser. I think we're now to the large prints. So these are 11 by 17 is $20 and $35 for a 20 by 15 of these particular prints.
And the giant serpent that you showed before is one of the large prints. It's not available as a little one.
Yes, thank you for catching me on that, Tracy. That is a large print. The rest of these are large prints unless a small print snuck in there courtesy of Windows screwing up. Again, so 11 by 17 or 20 by 15, $20 and $35 respectively each, signed, $2 shipping and handling. A copy of Armor of God, the Paladin, the first in the Armor of God trilogy, is $25, signed or personalized. Again, plus a couple of bucks shipping and handling. And I see someone has commented down below. I will get to your comment in just a minute. The Necromancer, great for some Mort Borg inspiration. I'm just saying, D&D, Mort Borg, do your own thing. That is a large print. Again, $20 for an 11 by 17, $35 for 20 by 15. The Berserker, a large print, another color piece there, and we talked a lot about the color scheme on that. 11 by 17 or 20 by 15, 20 and 35 respectively. And the last one is the Ranger, the original illustration for what a Ranger looks like in Dungeons and Dragons. This even predates Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You can get a lovely print of this, 11 by 17 or 20 by 15, 20 and 35 respectively, autographed plus $2 shipping and handling. So yes, there is Tracy's art. Hopefully, you will be able to get up a store soon. But right now, you guys can get Dig and Life merch on Zazzle. And I will throw up that Zazzle link here in just a second.
And I'm expanding that line all the time. So as you come back and forth to it, you'll see like the extra Dig and Life stuff added to it. They don't have it up yet, but if you can, I highly recommend the wooden sign art. That should be showing up in the next couple of days, which is a wonderful printing of this on an actual wooden box, and it's really cool, suitable for hanging on the wall. That's what I like about it. It's got a distressed white finish with the artwork printed over it. So, and there's T-shirts and hats. I've got hats that are going out there, blankets, all sorts of stuff, and a onesie for your little one. You want to have a little
a Dig and Life onesie. Jorge, same email to contact you in a couple of weeks. Yes, I presume Tracy won't change any of his email contact info in the next couple of weeks for any of the art prints. And guys, I'm going to leave this stream up. The prize drawing stream that I did Thursday night will not stay up. This one will stay up until Tracy tells, like if you run out of something, Tracy, or you're not doing certain things anymore, let me know. So if you've missed anything, you can go back, you can watch this stream again and skip through and find prints to gaze upon and look at. Just pause YouTube and have a gander at these lovely fine pieces of art, and then get
you can always pause.
Yeah, you can always pause after the stream because it will be up there. There's the Zazzle link right now to the store for the Dig and Life merch, and more, of course, is coming. The Ranger and the Snake Yes, the Ranger and the Snake pieces are arguably my favorites outside of the 2 Kane and the Dig in Life. I mean, when we're talking Tracy's classic or the Mind Flayer, oh, who the hell am I kidding? I love them all. I love them all. So
that's sweet.
What's the email? It's Tracy Lesch at ilj.com, right?
Yeah, or if I know the one for Shelby was up there. You can use that one, but yeah, mine is Tracy Lesch at ilj.com. Hers is Shelby Lesch at ilj.com. But yeah, either one, or you can hit me through social media too if you want. I've got I'm on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
But yeah,
so
the easiest way is to hit one of our emails, and we'll definitely answer your questions.
Right on. So there you go. Either of those emails will work, and you can negotiate getting some of that wonderful stuff. Now, I should also mention, if you have just come into the stream, or if you've muted us because you're listening to Russia Collapse on the shortwave radio or whatever, I will point out that there is an auction also going on right now. If you are signed up for the convention, if you go to the discussion forums in the convention, there is an auction currently for the last signed and certified Mind Flayer Funko Pop. You can't find this thing hardly. If you find it, if it's in stock somewhere, they're going to want 50, 60, 70 bucks for it. Okay.
And it ain't going to be signed.
And it ain't gonna be signed. So right now you can bid on the auction on the convention Discord. There is an auction going. You can jump in there and you can throw a bid. Bid increments are $1. I know it's been bid on. I don't know what the bidding is at. I don't know if somebody jumped in and bid $51. I don't know if somebody's jumped in and bid after that. But the bidding is going on, and the winner, of course, you get a nice hard acrylic polycarbonate box that the whole Funko box goes into. You get it's not just a certificate. It doesn't just say, yeah, this is Tracy Lesch. It has the original Mind Flayer artwork on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, how freaking cool is that? Pretty freaking cool. Let me just interrupt you.
It's numbered too. So.
And it's numbered. They are limited edition on that. So jump in there. Don't be afraid. If it's up to 51, bid 52. If it's on 52, bid 53. But that is George has bid on it. So George, beware. Somebody could come in. That auction ends at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday night.
Ooh.
When it's so bid early, bid often. That's what I say. So that is sitting out there. So you honestly, guys, to own a piece of D&D art history, or just some great art in general, get in there, get it now. Get an autographed piece from our friend Tracy Lesch, one of the guys who was in the delivery room when D&D was born. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as I'm concerned, that's as good as it gets right there. So jump in and bid. If you don't want to bid, get a mug or a pint. I'm sorry, no pint glasses. Get a mug or of some type, a mug, a stein, some awesome piece of art, or a signed print. And if you missed the signed print shows, don't worry about it. You can just go back through and find where we're watching those. And I do mention how much they are and what size the prints are and how to get a hold of Tracy. And you should do it. The stuff looks amazing, and you don't have to miss out, right? This is This is one convention event where if you wanted an autograph, as long as this video stays up, as long as Tracy wants it to stay up, you can get your autographed merch. So
yeah, I mean, we tried to make it as much like a traditional artist alley as possible today, I think.
Yes.
And I do apologize to you folks that were hoping that there would be like a store site you could just go to. It is coming, I promise you. I've just been so inundated with work.
Tracy, you still there? Uh-oh. Well, Tracy's having network problems. Hopefully he'll be back.
Oh, okay. Are we back?
Yeah, you're back. We are back. Everything's back. So, work. That's a problem we should all hope for. That we've got a lot of work to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's stuff in the works in the in the next year. I'm hoping to. I'll have a new book coming out. I'm hoping. I'm working with the folks at Shattermare Comics. And by the way, I did a variant cover for their collection, their graphic novel collection of the first, I think it's the first 6 issues of their D&D comic called Hardly Heroes, and they hired me to do a variant cover for them. And I think you can still get that if you go to their store. And
nice.
Those are signed as well, I believe, or they're going to be signed. I think they said they were going to send them to me or something like that. But I only say that to say in the future, I hope to be adapting my novel into a graphic novel with those folks there. And then Bill and I were working on an unnamed project.
We have got a little something that's in the works. I think as a dungeon master, as a player, as an aficionado of fantasy art, I think it will be something that you'll find pleasing. And my hope for the graphic design, I don't want to spoil anything about the contents, but my hope is, graphically speaking, from the graphic design standpoint, that it will be something that you can slot onto your bookshelf and someone would walk by and not even realize that it wasn't a first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons book. Like, you guys saw what Jack Photon did with his books. That's what I want to do with this. That's what I want our book to look at. And every illustration, hey, there's speak of Jack Photon. There he is.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah, a belated birthday lunch. Well, happy belated birthday to you, Jack.
Hey, happy birthday.
But yeah, I want the Jack Photon / classic TSR aesthetic, but every illustration in the book, and there will be many, will be many illustrations. There will be an illustration for each entry. No invisible stalkers or aerial servants in this, okay? There will be an illustration for everyone in this book, but will be something you'll want to pull the book off the shelf and look at. And that, of course, includes the cover art. So my hope is that we can get a nice canvas cover like what Jack has done with his bespoke books. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I don't want to kickstart it, if I'm being honest with you. If it's completely done and laid out and just needs to be sent to a printer, and the printer has been picked out and the printer has told us how it's going to look, then maybe we kickstart it so we can pay the printer, right? But I don't want to, I've mentioned this before. There's an RPG thing called the Far West that is the Kickstarter project raised $49,000. And it is 11 years overdue. Wow. So, yeah, no invisible forces.
Don't want to do that.
No, we're not doing that. We're not going to do any kind of crowdfunding or anything like that until this sucker is literally just a matter of push button, receive book. So,
because anything else, I think, is unfair to the fans. I mean, I think. Asking them to wait for a book, especially if they've coughed up some cash, I mean, that's unfair. I would feel like a criminal. It's like taking people's money and then saying, oh yeah, well, 11 months from now, you'll actually have it in your hand.
Oh, there you go. George says, I can render a pretty good drawing of an invisible stalker. You know what? I can tell you what an invisible stalker looks like. I absolutely can. They are roughly man-shaped, angular, and colored dead black all over. Like think of a rough-hewn figure of a person covered in Vanta black paint. And that's what an invisible stalker looks like. And you might be thinking, oh, Bill, you're just making that up. No, I'm not. I have seen the manuscript for The Teeth of the Barkesh Noor, and Gary has a invisible stalker, and that's how he described it back in '76. Obviously, they didn't have Vanta black paint, but I'm just throwing that in there because that's in my mind's eye. So I do know what an invisible stalker actually looks like.
I'm going to be doing some bugbears soon.
Nice. I love bugbears. That big football shaped head of theirs are like, oh, I love bugbears. But anyway, so you're going to be doing that. You're going to be here in town in September.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't have the dates in front of me, but are you going to be there too, or did I misread?
Been invited as a guest or anything? I think he was like, I don't know what he was expecting out of me as a draw, but nobody bothered. I counting my daughter, who was sitting there like giving me like times left for me to talk. Like there were 5 people in my discussion at the convention, so I don't.
It wasn't 0.
Yeah. And I walked in and there's like 15 or 20 people milling around. I'm like, this is awesome. No, those were the people who had been there for the person who gave a talk before me, and then left. So,
so you're going to be there, or you're not going to be there?
I'm going to. I'll attend. I will come by to say hello. Well,
you're welcome to hang.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If
you've got the time, we should like go have lunch or something.
Yeah, if he'll let me sneak in, and as long as I promise not to try and vulch on anything and just let me sit at your booth, then I'll try and get out there. I don't want to mooch too much, but we'll see. But you will be here in Orlando at QuestCon in September. We'll get a date nailed down. So if you're in the Orlando area and you want to meet the man himself and buy some art prints, then stop on by.
Hell, I would say hello. You don't have to buy anything. You just say hi, and
yes, you do. You have to buy something. I will make you buy something from Tracy. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but
well, I don't want to sound mercenary, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I will. But anyway, so I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get some dinner. You're probably needing a break yourself, so we'll go ahead and close the Artist Alley, folks. If you just hopped in, if you just swung by RPG Grandma, I see you there. Then please watch the video, watch the whole stream, and find the places where we talk about where you can buy Tracy's art, where you can get signed prints. The small prints are $10. The 11 by 17 prints are $20. The 20 by 15 prints are $35, and that's only $2 shipping and handling, and you get all of those come signed. Go bid on the Funko, go buy some Diggin' Life merch, and I will see Tracy. I'll see you Monday night at the AD&D game. Yes.
Yep.
And the rest of you folks, I'll see you at the convention. There's some good stuff going on at the convention. Somebody asked me if I could extend his game out tomorrow, so there's going to be game time tomorrow. So have fun.
I wish I could have run a game.
I know. The next time you're on, let's talk about. We'll talk about. It came from the Late Show.
Yeah, for sure.
That was actually why I started talking about Dr. Cadaverino. I wanted to dovetail into that, but we've kind of run up on the 3-hour mark. So we'll get you on again real soon. And until then, everyone. Do be good to each other, and
I love you guys.
And we love you too, Tracy, very, very much. I'm a little out of sorts though, because I don't know if anyone has actually. Let me see. I don't know if anyone has actually been able to find this, but I close as always asking in desperation of you, my fans and my friends, have you seen my owl bear?
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.